Look at this now.
Ooh, Jesus.
It's what, 11 a.m.?
Combat.
Oh, there it is.
Whoa.
You fit in seamlessly in this weird MK environment.
Do you want a margarita?
We're gonna do it.
That's it.
On your marks, get set, and go down. That old Ray Longo, Chuck Mindenhall.
Yeah.
That old Ray
That was
Longo.
fun, man.
That old goat is clever. All right. We got a lot to talk about. Welcome on this Monday edition, the 11th of May, 2026. My name is Luke Thomas. I am merely one half of your hosting duo. I join you from the capital of a very rainy Washington, D.C., the capital of Estados Unidos, right here, as I mentioned, in Washington, D.C. Sorry about that. I kind of botched that intro. Nevertheless, I go to my Connecticut brethren now, the Iceman himself, Chuck Mindenhall.
Yes,
Chuck,
sir.
how are you doing, sir?
I'm well, man. Did you have a good Mother's Day? What'd you guys do? Did you get out, do something?
I mostly fumbled my way through an attempt to honor my wife and mother-in-law. Yeah. I mean, it was fine. It was fine. I got them flowers. I got them both flowers. I got them both. They love Korean skincare stuff. You know, I got them some stuff for that. And then I took them to actually, I thought the big hit was there was a really nice restaurant out in town I had never been to, and I've been dying to go. So I went. And it was great. It lived up to the hype. You know how, that said, sometimes you'll get your heart set on something and you're like, all right, let's go. And then it doesn't live up and it's like soul crushing. But this one did. How about you?
I always feel a little bit like adult going in there on the day of something like that, like Valentine's Day or Mother's Day, and you go into the flower section and there's like 8 other guys just like you, like picking up flowers at the exact same time. I always feel like such a schmuck when I do that. I don't know why. It's just very self-conscious about it.
I never go to the flower shop anymore for flowers.
Yeah.
I have alarms set on my
store?
calendar. Yeah, like 2 weeks before my wife's birthday, 2 weeks before Mother's Day. I get urban stems. I use urban stems. You never used them before?
No. But I might start doing that because I realized that this time I was like, man, I don't want to be one of these guys, You
know what? I'll tell you what.
Change it up.
Here's a little bit of a Uncle Luke giving out some unsolicited advice to the men out there. Costco has surprisingly good flowers.
This is Uncle Luke. That is Uncle Luke right there. I love that we taught Ray Longo what unk means and donk.
Yes.
I feel like we were really kind of educating him last.
I know it's like
Wednesday.
Ray. I'm beating 50's door down, and I'm telling you lingo. This seems like the wrong guy for the job, But anyway, hey, UFC 328 was a lot. There's a lot to unpack from this. We have a new champion, the same as the old champion in certain ways. We'll get to that. Josh Van putting on an absolute clinic, although some resistance along the way. And then the rest of that 328 main card. Plus, there was insane boxing over the weekend. Fabio Wardley and Daniel Dubois basically killing each other. We have some fight announcements to get to. We got Josh Hokett kind of taking over stuff a little bit as well. So we appreciate you guys being here. Thumbs up if you haven't on the video. Hit subscribe. You can give us a follow on the socials. Let's bring in the third member of the show here, Long Island Luke. Long Island, I saw you ran into BC this weekend. You were at 328. How was it?
It was great. And not only did I run into BC, but they had a buffet. This is not even a joke. They had a buffet of hot dogs there.
What?
And yes. And I mean, Brian was in heaven. He was running back and forth. I saw him the entire, in between each fight, the man was coming back for another hot dog. No, saw him at the beginning of the night. Never saw him again the rest of the night. But
I've seen him handle as many as 10 of those wieners at one time, man.
Dude, he can handle a lot of wieners. It's crazy. Yeah. And guzzle them too. It's
I mean, BC and I have very different experiences with the 8-dicked walrus. Let's just be honest about that. Okay?
That's a great point. But yes, was it UFC 328? It was a great time, by the way. So excited to get into it, guys.
Yeah, it was a fun one. If you attended that one, that atmosphere seemed like it was lit all night, didn't it? It was a crazy atmosphere.
We'll talk about the main event in a second. I tweeted this yesterday. Some people agreed, some people disagreed, but I really stand by it, which is, if you watch that main event, Chuck, it was not like a crazy fun fight.
Right.
This was not a recreation of Hokett and Blades, but it was bizarrely intriguing. You know what I mean? It was like, so it was fun in a like, whoa, like I'm sort of seeing pieces of a puzzle kind of come together here. That's how it felt to me anyway. I don't know about you.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I mean, we're going to get into it, but like, just the kind of loss of aura that kind of played out over 25 minutes, that was interesting to see for sure.
For sure. Let's remind everyone, we do have some new merch out, morningkombat.shop. These are the designs for May. They're only available until the end of the month. You can get the donk Renegades of Donk t-shirt. There is the Washington, D.C., like a DC 101 t-shirt. And then certainly last but not least, the El Rey up in this bitch. Whippets in the parking lot, Morning Kombat style. If you're not doing whippets behind a Hardee's or an Arby's, I don't know what you're doing with your life, except buying the t-shirt to commemorate it. morningkombat.shop is there. And of course, you can always reach the show, morningkombat@gmail.com, for all of your various needs. All right. With that out of the way, let's get now to the show. You know what? Actually, wait. Let me get my glasses on. Sorry. I started the show without my glasses. I'm too old for this shit. All right, here we go. Now we go. Topic number 1. All right. At UFC 328, Sean Strickland narrowly but gets the job done in defeating Khamzat Chimaev. He becomes the UFC middleweight champion now for the second time. We started the show out by mentioning Ray Longo had a feeling. I did not think he had a bad case for it at all. I did some tape study on Friday, and I was like, you know what? Ray might be onto something, but let's just see. Sure enough, it was close, but Strickland got it done. Chuck, let's just sort of start out with this, kind of a two-parter, and then you take it from there. One, what is the real story of this fight, having now experienced it? And then secondly, once you understand what the story is, where does it put Strickland's victory for his status, frankly, all time in this division?
Well, I think the story for me, at least, was that, Chimaev is beatable. We had seen evidence, but you're taking little pieces of evidence and you're saying, okay, we've seen this and the Gilbert Burns fight, like we were mentioning, like you can kind of get him into a little bit of a brawl. That might be advantageous. You could look and take little snippets. But in this particular fight, the way that the second round played out was very eye-opening in the sense that once you saw him kind of, I don't know if he had an adrenaline dump. I still really don't know 100% if it's just the weight cut, but just to see him go in there and get shut down and then try to pull guard a couple of times was a type of retreat I never thought we'd see, especially that early in the fight. If it was going to happen, I thought that was a championships rounds type of scenario for Sean Strickland. So to me, the story was, man, like we saw the aura like leave the room, and that had to have felt like $1 million to any middleweight, who's kind of coming up the ring, especially guys like Dricus du Plessis, who, was just never going to have a shot back in it unless he's kind of removed from the scenario. So that's what it was, man. And as far as your second part of your question with Strickland, was it you that I saw somebody was saying like the Eli Manning of MMA? Was that you?
Yes. Well, I can't take credit for it, but someone on my chat Friday night was like, he's the Eli Manning of MMA. And I'm like, holy shit. Which is
so apt. I mean, that is so apt because he's a guy who has he has 7 losses in the UFC. I mean, this is a guy very resilient, obviously, puts on sometimes really masterful performances like the Fluffy Hernandez. But this I didn't even think, I'll get your impression of it, but this didn't strike me like he fought a brilliant fight. He fought his fight and it worked, and he was able to kind of make Chimaev take him out of his comfort zone, and the way it played out, he was able to win this fight. I didn't really think it was like a beautiful thing in that sense, but here he is holding the belt again, and now you have to almost, it's like the Strickland era. The biggest thing for me is I already put it in the rear view. Once he lost to Dricus the second time, you're like, well, that's it. He won't have another shot. And for him to not only get that shot, whether you thought he deserved it or not, for him to make good on it, that tells me something about the guy, man. I mean, if nothing else, his legacy is that he was one of the most resilient fighters that the UFC has ever had.
Man, this is a lot to unpack here because I do want to talk about the loss of aura for Khamzat Chimaev, because I totally agree. I said as much. I didn't quite use it in those terms, but I said as much on Saturday night, Chuck. I was like, he just made him look lesser than. He made him, he turned him into something that's a lot more beatable than what the impressions of what we had previously. But I want to say something about the Strickland side, and I want to start there, if I may, Chuck, which is, to getting to the question I asked you, what's the story of the fight and where does it fit? Where does it put Sean all time in the division? I'm not sure about the second part of that yet, but in terms of the first fight, or to the first part of the question, this question comes up all the time about like, oh, well, Strickland's not good at anything. All he does is teep and jab. And it's like, if you watch this fight, Chuck, there's not that much teeping, but there's a lot of jabbing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like he did, like, one of the interesting parts about this fight was that neither guy, I mean, there was a couple of times guys got the right hand through, But like in general, both guys only really landed the jab, which was kind of a weird thing.
Yeah.
But this is the point I wanted to make. People say Strickland's not elite at anything, and yet look at what he's achieving. 2-time champion. Like you can win a title one time, and I wouldn't call it fluky, but it's possible. But to come back around and get it a second time, nah, you're good. You're really, really good.
Right.
Sean Strickland is elite. Maybe one of the best, if not the best, I've ever seen at building a game. It seems to me more designed than anything else to simply nullify opponent weakness. Like, for example, people will say things like, wow, what really makes Sean's run kind of special, and they're right, is that, hey, look, on the one hand, he was a huge underdog and he beat one of the greatest strikers the division has ever seen in Israel Adesanya. And then on the other side, he beats maybe the best wrestler the division has ever seen. How is something like that possible? Because his game is predicated on whatever you're good at, I'm going to have a set of defensive conditions that just pull that back down to earth. And then we're going to fight trench warfare. And that's why this fight was still kind of close, Chuck. I mean, that's what the real strength of, in my opinion, now I've seen it multiple times, the real strength of Sean Strickland is this ability to absolutely show resilient, very, very tricky defense through all phases of it. And it doesn't necessarily make his offense overpowering, although it certainly wasn't the Fluffy Hernandez fight. But what it does do is it then forces the opponent onto offensive terms that tend to favor Sean over time. This kind of you lob, I lob, you jab, I jab. He tends to be pretty good at that as a way of winning. Not all the time, it's close. But that is such an you would never plan a game, Chuck. You were teaching a guy to fight. You would never be like, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make your defense insane, like in every way. And then we're going to give you a jab and a teep. Like you would never plan around that. Right. But he's done that. And it turns out that is like, it is so difficult to deal with that he can take a title twice off of two guys who were supposed to have, and in one case did, legendary runs in the division.
I can remember talking to Eric Nixick too, and him saying something along the lines of, guys don't prefer to come in and train defensive wrestling, right? They just don't want to do it. He was talking about Francis Ngannou, but he had mentioned Sean Strickland as being one of those guys who didn't mind this, who would go in there and, in training and work through scenarios or work hard at scenarios to do exactly what you're saying, which is basically the nullification of strength is absolutely right. I hadn't really thought of it in terms of, like you're mentioning, beating an excellent, like Sublime type striker in Izzy the way he did. And then in this fight, I wonder, like in that first round, is it strategic? Like the way the commentators, and we talked to Ray, we talked about this all week in general, like, it's inevitable you're going to be taken down. He didn't necessarily just bounce back up, but he scooted over to the fence. He like you said, he was very squirmy. He was very squirmy, right? Like he was very squirmy. He made Chimaev work. There was a couple of submission attempts in that round. He had his back. Chimaev had his back for a good portion of that round. It looked like he was trying to get the finish, unlike the DDP that fight. So there was some elements there. I think it was Long Island Luke that was pointing out that there was no significant strikes line, or maybe this was you in that first round, and you're like, that's crazy. There was no significant strikes. But was it strategic to just say, like, let's survive the first round? Let's just not we know what he's going to do. Let's survive the first round, and like second round, let's go to work. Do you think that was their plan?
I think the plan was probably survive as long as you need to. I mean, the fact that Khamzat gassed in round two,
that was the surprise.
It was a huge surprise. I mean, we'll talk about that in just a minute, but like, this is what I mean about Sean, dude. Like this fucking guy's clever, man. He's real clever. So one thing I feel like I saw a little bit of discussion about it, and I went back and I watched, and there's something I kind of noticed on real time, but it kind of crystallized upon further review. One thing to pay attention to that Sean does is, do they know Strickland's game? And they have good answers for it, like thoughtful answers. So for example, like Sean's, this is not new. As you mentioned, he'll get taken down, and what's he doing? He's immediately going to the fence. Whereas a guy like DDP, if he got taken down off the fence, would just kind of turn underneath and accept it. So first of all, he doesn't accept it. Then he's very good at using it, not giving up his back, blah, 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 all that stuff, building height off hands and elbows and everything else. But the part that's interesting is, go back and watch the first round. every time Strickland gets his back taken, and that's when I say back taken, I mean both hooks in, not one hook, but both. He immediately gives up what he's doing and then lets himself get taken to the ground, or even like elects to go, where he's basically laying on top of Chimaev. And it has this incredible effect. It turns Chimaev in those instances into nothing. He can't get ground and pound going. He can't get subs going. And what he eventually ends up doing every single time is just turning Strickland to a side and then trying to re-attack the position. And a couple of those times, Strickland's able to kind of get up after the fact. Like, they just knew when he puts both hooks in, fall to a side, fall to your back, literally lay on this guy, and it becomes a completely different fight. Like, they saw that in the tape, to say nothing of all of the other defensive lines. Like, dude, this guy's eye, and his team too, a team deserves credit, but that guy's eye and the team's eye for real subtle conditions that have to be established to nullify someone's offense, I should say, that they might be the best in MMA at that shit. It's insane how good they are at that. That's kind of what I saw.
Yeah, no, 100%. You mentioned the ground and pound, man.
Gone.
Where is that? Where is that from Chimaev, though? Like, I mean, this is one of those things. I know that we're like, I don't mean to like jump to the Chimaev end of it, but in that first round, I rewatched it this morning. Where was the ground and pound? Like, you know, he had him in positions where if he just starts hammer fisting him, maybe he opens up more, you know, avenues for the offense. But it's just like he's so monofocused on kind of, you know, working towards a submission, or like, you know, going into more of a dominant position, that he's not using all of his weapons. Did it strike you that way? Because there's a little bit of a frustration, I think, if you were his coaches. I saw this in the DDP too, the little baby punches he was throwing. He wasn't doing much, but where's the ground and pound with this guy? Wouldn't that round out his game to another level?
I think that there's a bigger issue that this fight and many others, this is not the only one, but this fight certainly underscores or reveals, which is that we might be entering a phase, and this is not going to be true universally, but it might be true for like select fighters at the top for sure. We might be entering a phase where guys have gotten so good at getting up that the most styles of ground and pound won't work anymore.
Right.
That's actually a real thing. That was especially true in this one. I'm not saying there weren't instances where Chimaev couldn't have done something, but it absolutely would have come at the cost of maintaining control. And so if the goal is to maintain control no matter what, then you're just going to be in a place where ground and pound isn't nearly as possible. I mean, this is I honestly think, again, there's going to be guys on regional cards or, you know, low-level UFC, and even, you know, occasional high-level UFC as well. But I think there's a time coming where we're going to see people make ground and pound, certain select guys make ground and pound kind of impossible. And if your game isn't well-rounded enough to move to the second order of things, you're going to have some trouble.
Yeah, I thought he had some moments where he could have, but at the same time, like, when did it occur to you, I guess? You know, you're watching this fight, you see the first round. I think that the first round was kind of emblematic of how, you know, I think a lot of us thought it might go. There was resistance. He didn't accept the terms, like you mentioned, Strickland, but like at the same time, he was fighting off submissions. He's on his back. But in that second round, is this when it like occurs to you, like, okay, wait a minute, this isn't going to be a typical Chimaev fight? And was it at that moment, I guess, that you were like, Strickland can win this fight?
Bro, I thought Strickland might have. I thought Strickland was about to stop him in the second. I mean,
me
that
too.
was bad.
Me too, man.
And remember how it got set up. Remember, Chimaev shoots on him and can't actually get the takedown. Like, the takedown is stuffed so hard that Chimaev is knocked to his rear end. He's sitting down.
Right.
And then because of that, he chooses to scoot underneath and, you know, and get double unders or whatever he had. But like, he actually, like, he got out muscled in the takedown. I was like, and then, you know, okay, it's one thing to be like, all right, I'm gonna aggressively scoot underneath, you know, because I'm gonna start setting up my getting up. Like, I'm gonna make this an active position from which to work, right? But he doesn't. He just kind of lays there, and I'm like, oh, dude, this is
right.
Like, what? I mean, this is. I mean, first of all, just flatly unacceptable from a championship fighter and a championship fight in round fucking 2, especially after there's basically no damage in either way in round number 1. Unacceptable from them to do.
You know, the third round, we were kind of discussing this before we were jumping on. It's like the third round becomes like the big round in my mind, because that fight, like the way that it was,
scorecards,
There we go. Yeah, and you can see obviously like what do we got? So Sean's actually winning on all scorecards going into the championship rounds, which is
which I don't
pretty.
I don't agree with.
So again, so this is where we went off course because when I was watching it, especially the first time through, there was a weird kind of phenomena that was almost it reminded me a lot of the Evelev versus Lerone Murphy fight where you're watching a guy. The third round, so you have this sense of pending, right? Where Chimaev, what are you doing? When are you going to shoot for a takedown? When is this coming? Never shows up in this round. But because that optic or because that preconceived idea is there, it's strange that you think, well, we're now playing then in Strickland's world. This is an obvious Strickland round. But if you really watch it, Chimaev is landing, within the exchanges, at least on the first watch, I'll get your impression on this too, but it looked to me like if you get rid of all of that Chimaev's holding his own and maybe even doing the better damage in that round, like where he's he's fighting the stand-up. But it had that trick to it, right? Because you're thinking, if it's standing, that we're playing Strickland's game. And sometimes, like, when people are watching something like that, it can be confusing when a guy, like, I thought Chimaev actually held his own on the feet in that round. And maybe, that's why it was so close. I don't have any problem with if you saw it for Strickland, but at the same time, just because it wasn't a wrestling match in the third round, I didn't think that it was like Strickland's round by default, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes, I also didn't agree it was his by default. So your score was what, 1-3-4 for Chimaev?
Yeah, I had Chimaev 1, 3, and 4. Yep, correct.
Yeah, I had it that way as well. I think you can have it 2-3-5 Strickland. I think that one makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I watched it again, like I said this morning, and that you're like, all right, well, that third round is close, so you could give that to Strickland. So that's kind of how it went.
The third round is tough because I saw Sean Sheehan talking about it. He's right. Like, you come out of round 2 where Khamzat looks like, it's almost like a minor miracle he made it to the end of the round in certain ways. And then Strickland starts hot in round 3. His jab is cooking the whole time. And numerically, he lands more in round 3. It's a big part of the argument for him. Again, those are quantitative, not qualitative totals, but he certainly unmistakably was landing more. And so a call for him in this round is really not a big deal at all. It's just, to me, if you watch the fight, I thought Chimaev's punching was harder. And the fact that it shattered the nose after round 3, man, that was the round where Strickland goes back to his corner after the end of the round, and his face looked like Frank Mir after getting done up by Brock Lesnar. We got a picture here after the fight.
That was bad.
This is after the fight. This is not after the round. But yeah, dude, I mean, he got, again, and Chimaev's face is a shit show too. It's not like it's one way or the other, but to just kind of illustrate. So to me, like, is the argument good for Strickland in round 3? Yes, it's really not a bad argument at all. It's just that, to me, I don't think that the Chimaev argument is any worse. And in fact, I thought that the damage, which was supposed to be like the preeminent judgment there, I thought the damage was a little bit better with Chimaev, but clearly it's debatable. This is not in any way, shape, or form any kind of robbery. Sean won it fair and square within the rules. That's just how the way it goes.
And the 5th round was close, but you clearly saw that for Strickland in the end.
I thought, yes, I definitely did. Yeah, I thought that Chimaev tried to make a push a couple times in that round, and Strickland just was more active. They gave one round, or one judge gave him
there it is.
The round. Sue Sanidad, I don't know who that is. Her name is Sue Sanity. That's interesting. Okay.
Weird.
Some kind of translation from Spanish, maybe. Anyway, point I'm trying to make is I thought that was pretty clearly Strickland's round. So like, to me, that's the other part too about his effort here, man. Like, starts out just playing fucking prevent defense the whole way, not letting this dude get anything, and having clever answers to really nullify him on the ground. They exchanged jabs for basically 4 rounds, and it was Strickland with a fucked up nose, in my opinion, who got after it in round 5 more and took that fight. That's the other part too, Chuck. It's like, even if you wanted to have it 2-2 heading into the 5th, and many people did, obviously, by that point, like, who had the dog in them late? It was Strickland.
Right. Oh, yeah.
It was Strickland.
Oh, yeah. Do you find, like, there's a big buildup to this fight? I felt like when they were coming in there with all that security, it had the air, it had the atmosphere of a big fight. And it made me think about, like, when you first get into the sport and you're watching, like, BJ Penn get in there, or Chuck Liddell, those guys, and you'd be like, this is a big fight feel. It just felt that way. This kind of had that. And it was such a big buildup. When you see a guy like Sean Strickland, who then he seems like a loose cannon, right? He seems like he's crazy in the buildup, but yet he goes in there, like you said, methodically plays defense, kind of systematically enacts his game plan and makes guys kind of dance to his tune, which is not the prettiest tune. Is it a big enough payoff? I know that him winning this fight just by strength of kind of expelling the boogeyman type thing is why there was a big drama around it. But if this is just an ordinary fight, are people even talking about this fight, or would it be like, oh God, I don't want to watch Sean Strickland fight?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Because he builds up something around him, right? We watched that fight. He's overthrowing a guy, though. Obviously, in this case, it's for a title. He's overthrowing a guy who'd never been beat. You understand that on a drama level, but let's just say that this was just a fight. Like, he's just fighting a guy who happens to be Chimaev, who's just wherever he is. Would we be like, man, Sean Strickland fights are boring? Because he does that nullification. Because I've heard people basically say this, like, the other part that sucks about Sean Strickland is I can't stand to watch him fight. Well, do you get some of that, or do you see like the beauty in what he's? I guess that's what I'm saying. Do you get a payoff when you watch him fight?
To me, it's hit or miss with him.
Yeah,
it's really hit or miss. Like I had to go back and do some tape study for this one, and you rewatch the Cannonier fight, and it's not just his fault, by the way, but like it's dreadful. It's dreadful, and frankly, both of the DDP fights, which he lost, they were also kind of dreadful. They weren't that fun. But it's like this is what I mean. It's like, but also, what did those fights look like? They look like Sean Strickland fights. Now, he didn't win any of the ones I mentioned, but they were all, for the most part, pretty close. Certainly the Cannonier one was very close, and now you could have argued that Strickland should have won it. But like it's not that case. But then you see him against Fluffy, and you're like, he can obviously do a lot. And then in this one, you're like, well, if it was just any guy, would we care? No, or not as much. But partly Strickland's fans, from what I can tell, they kind of see him as a guy who's beating a system designed to not let people like him succeed. Right. And so I do think no matter what he does, they would be supportive of him in some kind of way. But then the other part is, and this is where I come down, it's like, dude, this is what Strickland was built for. Like, give him the guys who, okay, he couldn't beat Poatan, but like the other part too is he's cleaned up his game after every setback. Like after every setback, dude, he seems to come back, in my opinion, significantly improved and tightened up, and this is cleaned up and that thing is no longer there. He's still kind of the same guy. But the point I'm trying to make is the reason that we talked about to start the show. If you just watch this fight and you don't know who these guys are, how entertaining is this going to be? Your mileage may vary, but maybe not the most. But if you understand that this guy is the wrestling boogeyman, and then you see a guy just slowly take that away from him, and he doesn't really get hit except with jabs, you know what I mean? But like he's constantly parrying and putting up traffic and punching lanes and peeling out, and just shutting every fucking door that is an opportunity for offense. I think if you are a fan of the game, there is something kind of special about that. That is very, dude, like that's what I mean too. Like he pulls his head back, right? Which is risky, and he puts his hands out in front. Yeah. Like all of that is some shit that no one would ever teach you. No one would ever teach you do this shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you're trying to prevent, I don't know, hail in a hailstorm, like, or you're trying to swat flies. Like no one would do that. And yet he does it very, very, very effectively against the best guys in the world. For me, that is very respectable, certainly, and highly intriguing. This is what I mean. I was like watching like this the whole way in this fight,
it's funny because I'm with you. I mean, I see the kind of value of what he does, and it's entertaining mostly. It's for the most part, it's entertainment. But like in the 90s, there were NBA games that would finish like 80 to 79, 80 to 76. They would have these very low scoring games to the point where they started having to change the rules basically to kind of get the scoring back up. But those games, I mean, they were aesthetically, they weren't they weren't the most pleasing. There wasn't the most action. But when you mention like just trying to like work through his lanes and things like that, where he's just putting up his vines and he's making it difficult on you, that's what it reminds me of. It's like it's just like kind of clogging up every single avenue, right? Like every single thing that's happening, you see him kind of nullifying to some extent. And there's something about it's like chess, right? Like he anticipates your move and he's doing something about it. I don't have a problem with that because it's just as much of a reputation as he has as a loose cannon. I mean, a very cerebral kind of fighter when it comes to that sort of thing. So I find it, like, especially in this, it was very fascinating to watch it unfold.
I mean, dude, offense for offense, who could he beat? Like, I'm just going to play an offensive game
Right.
with Strickland. Like, I don't know who he's not winning titles doing that. But if he can take what you're really good at and then just gum it all up, throw sand in all the gears, and now you have to contend with his offense. Now it's a different ball game.
Point. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He's a guy who breaks some people in a strange way. He breaks them mentally and then physically. Like this particular fight, I felt like he kind of just broke Chimaev. That's what started to translate, obviously, in that second round. But the Izzy fight, if you go back to it, even the Fluffy fight, like you just see the moments when you're like, okay, he knows this guy, he pours it on. That's when he pours it on, right? Like in that Izzy fight, I'll just never forget when all of a sudden he just started landing, boom, 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 because he knew he'd broke him. And that kind of thing is always fascinating too, that he'll play the game as long as it takes until he senses that he's got you, and then he comes to life. So it's not like he's a guy who is just, resting on his laurels and he's not going to do something in the end. I think if he'd had a big moment, like let's say third round, something where he had him, like he would have went all in to get that finish. I think that he's that kind of guy, but he's just not going to, like you mentioned, he's just not going to bring like one punch knockout power or, some dynamic, submission game. Like he just doesn't do that. He plays his game until he sees the opening, then he tries to get it.
No question about it. Real quickly, before we talk about the what's next, there's been some discussion about what does this achievement mean? And one kind of signpost I've seen introduced is that Strickland could enter the UFC Hall of Fame with this. Now, I'm not declaring that he would, and I know what some folks might say. It's like, well, he hasn't even had a successful title defense, which is also true. Like there are, to the point you raised, Chuck. It's not his resume is not perfect. Now it's starting to get really good, but it has blemishes. Nevertheless, though, like if we're answering the question, does he belong? I don't really understand the UFC Hall of Fame, in part because a lot of it is just rewarding people that they really like who did some good stuff, but it's not clear that they're like the best of their generation. But I'll just say this. There are other guys already in the Hall of Fame who I would put Strickland over. You know what I mean?
Yes, I know what you're
saying.
So
if you're going to put those guys in,
Chris Weidman's on the night where Chris Weidman is being inducted, right? Like they're basically announcing that. You kind of think of a guy like him, right? What was his biggest achievement? Obviously, like he was a very good middleweight. His biggest achievement, everybody's going to always remember the Anderson Silva knockout, and then the subsequent, breaking the leg in the rematch. You're always going to have that, and I think it's on that sort of idea that he's in there. But Chris Weidman was a guy who had plenty of losses in the end. I think he had 8 UFC losses. He had a couple of title defenses, and I think that's one of the things that Strickland's missing. But to get the belt twice, right, and not just that, but as a huge underdog in both instances against what you hate to use words like generational, but guys who are dominant in that moment. I mean, Israel Adesanya, at some point, people were thinking he might be a generational talent. And I think that was the fight when the wheels came off and Strickland was right there to be the guy to deconstruct him. That should say something to me. Like that would be on the merit of getting into a Hall of Fame. But then to do it again against Chimaev, who, again, is a huge favorite. Nobody's ever seen him made vulnerable for a fight. And to do that again, that's like beating. I mean, I know Silva was like another level when Weidman got him, but man, you've done it twice now against guys that have that aura. That's got to mean something, right? Like to just overthrow these guys
as a huge underdog too. Long Island, are you aware of like anyone who's captured UFC titles twice? It could be different weight classes, but that was an underdog.
I'm sure someone has done it as an underdog, but definitely not to this extent. I believe against Izzy, dude, he was like plus 700, and in this fight, he was like plus underdog. 4 something. So that's ridiculous. Those two alone are probably bigger than any singular. Well, maybe Sarah upsetting GSP is probably bigger, but either way, like
Sarah GSP was much bigger in terms of upset, and also was Rousey.
No, I just meant odd wise. Wise.
Well, even odds wise, Rousey.
But both of those are arguably top 5 in title upsets.
Yes, he might have 2 of the top 5. That's fucking crazy.
It is. It's crazy, man. It's wild. I mean, you got to like look at that too and put it into context with what we're talking about. It's like if you can make the case for some of these guys who make the Hall of Fame, like you could certainly make his case based on that alone. And it's crazy too that the people who've become 2-time champions, not necessarily that they jumped up and won a second title like Conor McGregor, but just 2-time champions where they battled their way back. There's so few. We've mentioned this a million times. It's very difficult to do that. Amanda Nunes did it because you could almost say like, well, there was a flukiness to her losing to Juliana Pena. The first time she corrected that course, got her title back. And, GSP, like you had examples of guys and fighters who've done it, but these are greats, right? Like they're the greats. They stood forever as, kind of the GOAT status type thing. And they did go on and win titles in like other divisions. They were that good. Strickland just doesn't really fit into any box. It's just, I just don't think that the UFC has ever seen a guy like this before.
I certainly haven't. I want to play one quick clip, and then we're going to move to the discussion about what's next. To make all of this more impressive, listen to the difficulties Strickland was dealing with on Fight Week.
Funny story. You guys want to hear something funny? So on Tuesday, I'm sparring Johnny, that motherfucker, the PFL champ, and I'm at Polino's gym, Cruz's gym, and he fucking shoots on me, and I hit his brick-ass wall, and I separated my shoulder. So I had a grade 1 AC joint separation on Tuesday, and I remember laying in bed on Tuesday night. I'm sure Chris has a video of me slamming the fucking shoulder, dude. Get some better pads. And I'm laying there. I can't lay on my left side. I'm like, you're such a fucking idiot. You are such a fucking idiot. So in the back, I'd normally like to get better warm-ups, but I didn't want to warm up and throw my shoulder out. The entire time, like, you're a fucking moron.
I don't know if it's a funny story, but Jesus, man.
Yeah, these guys they're animals when it comes to this kind of thing. All right, now it brings us to a question of like, what is next for both guys? We'll talk about the Strickland side in just a minute, but I want to start actually with the Chimaev side. And to do that, we're going to bring in our friends from Cuervo. This is What We're Mixing Up, presented by Cuervo. And, of course, we had a great time last week in studio enjoying some Cuervo with Ray Longo for the preview for UFC 328. Chuck, I want to talk about what should be next for Khamzat Chimaev. And in order to do that, let me start by playing a clip about Dana talking about Chimaev, and then I'll tee you up about it. Okay. Let's roll the clip.
And, I mean, in a normal situation, like split decision, undefeated champion, it seems like everything would be set up for a rematch given their history and everything. But it seemed like Khamzat really struggled to make the weight this time. And he said...
He literally walked up to me after the fight and said, I want to move up.
Yeah.
I don't want to fight in this weight class anymore.
Interesting. And I know it's very soon, but, like, do you feel like he probably needs a fight to earn the title shot there and stuff like that? Carlos is injured.
Yeah,
Have you thought about that division?
I don't know. I'm not even thinking about that. Yeah. But, him moving up is exciting.
Wow. By the way, for every round, keep it fun, keep it Cuervo, and our mixing up with presented by Cuervo segment here. Chuck, all right. As soon as the fight is over, he goes to Dana and he says, I want to go to 205. I want to know what you make of that, but I want to add a little detail here that there's been some speculation, and it's not been confirmed, but that there were some suggestions a time ago that Chimaev was going to go to 205 and fight Yuri Prochazka, and that there was then a title defense that was kind of ordered, and he had to go back down. I got to say, I don't really buy that as the full answer, right. And even if it did happen, I don't really care. I wonder what you make of Dana saying this and everything we've been sort of like looking into here.
I mean, it was a split decision. Just imagine if Chimaev wins this fight. Is he still saying that? Like, that's a question too, right? Like, if he wins it, if he makes that difference, is he saying, all right, I'm vacating, I'm out of here? I don't know. My biggest issue was, I thought Strickland looked big compared to him. And that was a little surprising to me. Strickland looked big. I'm trying to imagine Chimaev against guys like Ankalaev or, Blachowicz. Like, he's not going to be able to do to those guys what he's been able to do at 170 and 185 to the guys like, there are no Kevin Hollands, like guys like that. He's not just going to be able to wreck through those dudes at the top. So if you want to reinvent yourself, and try it, like, and we've seen it work for Alex Pereira, like you see a guy like him going up and he's able to win another title and he's going up again, trying to make a third one. I don't know if it translates for Khamzat. And again, this is part of that aura thing that we were just talking about. If he had won the title, just that one judge gives him the fifth or whatever, one more judge, maybe that aura is still intact to an extent because he didn't actually lose. Maybe you would look at this differently, but that's a tough place to recover. That's 20 pounds difference, right? It'd be good. It's better for him. Like, if he was truly compromised, and I believe he was, because that just did not seem like he had any cardio in this fight. It just seemed like he wasn't himself. He wasn't a boogeyman at all. If he's able to go in there and fill out and look like himself, great. Like, I want to see him in his peak form, but I just don't know the monsters at 205, man. I I don't know if he translates there.
Yeah, I hate this idea. I hate it. I can't stand it. I don't agree. You know, can he win a fight up there? I'm sure he can. I don't think that's really much of an issue, and maybe he could win a title, although I don't really think that is true. Although, again, we'll have to see how that goes. But again, I think this fight is going to look like the tape on what to do with Khamzat and the ways in which to nullify him.
Yeah.
Each time he does this and he can't get anything going, you're just adding more tape that guys in subsequent fights are going to be able to pick up on. But like in general, this is what the thing that strikes me about Khamzat. Like, I can't tell if he's at times under training or overtraining. He's so inconsistent, right? Where he can, at times, he looks like he can take over the world, and other times he can't even finish a takedown in the second round. And you're like,
you worry that he just doesn't love the game. I'd worry a little bit, like through his course, like this has been for a while. Like, he doesn't love it. Like I could speculate.
I think he's a bully, and a bully is not necessarily one that won't train hard, but like Strickland is not a bully. Well, he might be in real life or something, but like in the cage, he's not a bully. Like, in fact, his game is built on, I have to cross every T and dot every I to make this work. Otherwise it won't. Whereas it feels like Chimaev is like, I'm just going to bulldoze these guys with my A game. And he's developed his B game. It's not fair to say he doesn't have one. Sure. Again, I thought he won round 3.
Right.
But it's not like what would you say about Chimaev striking? It's overwhelming. No, it's dangerous, but it's fairly ordinary.
Yeah.
And so like there's a certain mentality where like one guy is trying to save every penny, and another guy might be rich but is just profligate spending. And it's like tortoise and the hare, who gets there first? Well, it's the one that kind of sort of has a dedicated plan about the whole thing, right?
What about Donkalaev? You think that he would be able to
I mean, Donkalaev is certainly the king of the donks, but he's fucking big.
I know. That's the problem. You can imagine him just being like resisted again and again, and then what happens? I suppose if he's in better condition and he's like anticipating that it's going to be a struggle, and he's built to last through at least 3 rounds, right? Like maybe, but I'm with you, man. I think that when he went to 185, that felt like the right move. There was a lot of intriguing fights for him to make the jump up. I mean, he could prove me wrong, but given his style, I just don't, you're talking about guys who are very hard to budge off their spots there, especially at the top, man. Those guys, they're just old stalwarts at the top. That's going to be very tough for him.
I just want to end this by saying, I'm not saying this is the end of Khamzat. I think that would be a silly thing to say. But this fight, to your point, Chuck, and to kind of wrap it up here, this fight might have been the end of Khamzat as the boogeyman.
Sure.
Especially if he goes to 205, where it's like, is he a tough fight? Sure. But
any possibility like that he just changes? I mean, obviously we're talking right after a fight, right? Any possibility he's like, okay, staying at 185 if they give him a rematch? Would you want that, like to watch it play back, or is that too unkind to Imavov, who was right there in the stands watching that fight up close?
I think Imavov should be next.
I do too. I agree.
I wouldn't hate if they made a rematch. I don't think it's necessary. And I know it's close, but no, I think Imavov should. And I know that this will be a rematch, and that Sean's already beaten him, so maybe that will make them make a rematch. I don't know, but
that first fight was at 205, though, right? Like it was a light heavyweight.
Yeah, it was like a weird
little. It was very strange. So I mean, I'm intrigued, man. I think that is the right play. I don't think it'll be as big as this one, because I can't imagine, I can't imagine Strickland's shtick kind of keep like moving the needle in the same way, especially when he's not fighting a guy who's a 7-1 favorite or whatever that was. I don't think it's gonna have the same build-up, but we'll find out.
And then for Sean, he said he wants some time off, and he thinks Imavov might be next, but we'll just have to see from his end. Certainly he's earned some time off with this, and I hope he gets it. By the way, this is What We're Mixing Up, presented by Cuervo. For every round, keep it fun, keep it Cuervo. All right. With that, before we move on to topic number 2, Chuck, I don't know if you saw this, but my Washington Wizards, number 1 in the draft, baby.
They're going to be good with Trey and all that, man. They're going to build quickly here.
I can't wait for the 15 minutes total that Anthony Davis plays in a Wizards uniform for the full season. It's going to be great. A great 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But also, I saw Long Island's New York Knicks yesterday beat up on the Philadelphia 76ers. Swept them. Right?
Let's fucking go. Mother's Day miracle, baby. Let's go.
I'm glad they did it on home court, too. It's nice to have their home fans celebrate with them. That was fun.
Yeah. People forget how close Philly and New York
know,
are, but
man.
they're
Dude,
wildly
you see
different
that,
places.
dude? New York, it was like flooded with New Yorkers. That was great.
Well, let's just as a reminder, the NBA playoffs are here, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, brings excitement to every game day, the whole postseason. When the lights get brightest, the best players in the world show you exactly who they are. Playoff stars turn it up round by round, and DraftKings turns it up with them from the first round all the way to the finals. Bet player props, bet live, and only DraftKings Sportsbook keeps you in the action all the way through. New DraftKings customers bet just $5 and you'll get $100 in bonus bets instantly. So here's what you're going to do, donks. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code COMBAT, that's combat with a K, so you're ready for the moment. That's code COMBAT, KOMBAT. Turn $5 into $100 in bonus bets instantly in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-MY-RESET. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 plus in most states, void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. Chuck, we roll in now to topic number 2. Let's talk about that co-main event. In the co-main event, by the way, one of the best flyweight title fights of all time, Joshua Van stops Tatsuro Taira in the 5th round to defend the throne. Where does this bout for you rank all time in flyweight title fights? And you can see, man, look at some of these pictures. Incredible. Where does it rank all time for you for enjoyment? But then more importantly, does this victory prove to you that Van is the best flyweight in the world? What do you think?
This fight was amazing, man. Like and again, this was like it looked like Tatsuro's fight from the beginning was. We were wondering like which style would trump the other, and you get that first round where it goes to the ground. Van looks like he's in trouble, comes back, does all this. I mean, it was up there. I would probably was it Ian McCall versus Demetrius Johnson? You remember that fight when they first introduced the flyweights? Yes. That fight always stuck with me. As one of the best, and it was like this great case for the flyweights that hadn't been in the UFC, and I was like, here we are. See, this is what it's about. We've seen some good ones, man. The first Moreno Figueiredo was a very good one, but I think I would put this one on top. I thought both guys, just the display of heart, how far they were willing to go, especially Taira in the sense of like taking that beating, but still coming on. Like when he got that takedown, what was it, late third round, looked like he was out of it. He gets the takedown. You're like, how's this guy doing this, man? When you see stuff like that, you're like, it somehow tells you something about the size of the guy's heart. And he wanted to keep going even when he was getting lit up at the end there, and they called the fight. So that type of thing, the boxing of Van is really the thing. Like just the ability to land that jab, snap, jab, boom, boom, and then the right hand come on up straight down the middle. Didn't feel like Taira could do anything about it. In terms of anything coming straight down the middle, was snapping his head back. It reminded me of the Shane Burgos Calvin Kattar fight a long time ago. Same kind of thing where it was just a jab and then occasionally the right hand, boom, boom, boom. Like it just clean, crisp boxing. I mean, I could watch that all day. I mean, that sort of thing, man, is just so beautiful to watch. So is he the best? I just have to, I guess that because of the way he won his title against Pantoja, who had the 4 title fights, the 4 defenses, I should say. He had been, I thought, one of the guys who was starting to enter the pound for pound top 5 because of how he was doing it. I still need to see Van get by him for me to anoint him the best flyweight. And obviously that's what should be next. And that would tell me that he's there. But if you want to call him the best right now, I wouldn't have a problem with it because he's 24 years old. You see how calm he looked in that first round? It was like, well, let me just get through this and then we'll get to my side of things and I'm going to kick your ass. That stuff is fun to watch.
Yeah, kind of funny. He uses guard to sit up. I don't know if you noticed that, and to stand. He uses double butterfly, whereas a guy like Strickland's like, fuck this, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? I'm going to use the fence and stand, but he didn't. I will say this about the ultimate question, like, is he the best flyweight in the world? Well, certainly he's the champion, so he almost de facto gets the designation. But like you, I won't really know until he fights Pantoja. But this is the problem Pantoja's up against. How old is Josh Van? 24? He's 24?
Yep.
Like, if Van is not the best in the world now, he's going to be, right?
Yep.
And even if Pantoja beats him, I got bad news for you, bro. You're going to have to do it again because he's going to be right back there in front of you. Because if he's not better than Pantoja, and I guess I would need to see them in no cop fight, but I would still pick Van over him. Dude, Van is a natural. He is a natural. This game comes to him naturally, effortlessly.
Even his ground game, you like enough, like what you're seeing, just in terms of his, like what you saw, like you thought he did okay.
I think that if he can get through what Taira can offer, there's really the only other guy that would be a threat like that. So here's the thing, right? Pantoja can do what Taira can do. Taira cannot do what Pantoja can do.
Right.
And so that is the part where it splits. And so, to that end, I would need to see him, but it's like, who's a threat on the ground in the way that Taira is absent Pantoja? I don't know who that would be at 125 pounds. I would say it's not a flawless ground game by any stretch, but like every time you see it, it's better. And also you can tell it's got a core identity now.
Yeah.
Where he kind of is like, these are my go-tos, these are the things I like, and these are the things I'm going to keep doing. And he's just refining it, and very, very quickly. But dude, on the feet, like it is effortless for him. Naturally can settle into range. The combination punching, the ability to go to the head and the body. By the way, foundationally, the ability to find the jab. The jab was tearing up Taira just as much as the combination punching was. It was everything. Every part of it was just setting him on fire. So like, man, if Josh Van isn't the best guy in the world, just give it a minute. Kick your feet up.
Yeah.
Have a nice cold glass of water, because by the time you finish it, he for sure will be.
Yeah, and I don't know how you saw this. I think it was the third round, right, where he had Taira very hurt. I thought he was 2-3 punches away from finishing the fight. And what does he do? He goes for a submission, and I was like, is this a 24-year-old guy just like, hey man, I've heard all lead up that this guy's really good on the ground. I want to submit him. Did you get that sense? I talking to Ben folks about this, saying, I think he just took what was given to him. And I rewatched it, and I was like, maybe, but I still think that he could have just finished the fight right then. If he just lands a couple more shots, the referee's leaning in. He's ready to kind of call it. And it seemed like Van was like, nah, I'm gonna see if I can sub this guy.
Yeah, I hated that.
Yeah, me too. And I was like, I thought for a minute he's going to learn a very hard lesson, because when Taira came back and put him back on the ground and it started going the other way again, I was like, watch out. If he loses this fight, he's going to circle this moment and be like, dude, I let it get through my hands.
Bro, Eric Colon giving the 4th round to Van is a crime. That is wow. How do you, because I agree with you. He gets, so for example, Sal D'Amato has a 10-8 for Van in round 3. I don't mind that. It's a little aggressive, but I don't mind that. Okay. And so does, by the way, Eric Colon. But then I thought, man, the effort and the response from Taira in round 4, really kind of made this fight interesting again. And they didn't get Colon. 2 of the judges did, so he would have won it anyway. But that's crazy to me that it went this way. But I'll say this about Taira. Yeah. Holy, dude, tough.
He comes out of this shining, right? I think. Like, I think this is
he's
the first
just 26.
That's what I'm saying. He's almost as young, and people are watching him. I think a lot of people probably had never seen him fight. You know what I mean? Like, so you see him in this fight. He walks away. I know he got battered. His face was a mess after that. But man, if you didn't know who he was and you watched that's your first introduction to him, what a stud. He comes out of that with a loss, but dude, I think he probably made a lot of fans.
There's no question. I think he made a lot of fans. Certainly was. And the best part is he's just 26. If he keeps working on his ground game, he's gonna see he's gonna see Van again.
I think so too.
And my favorite kind of rematches are when you get 2 talented guys and one gets the better of them, and then a couple of years pass, and then you get them 2, 3, 4 years later when they've really become, who they are at that point. And then you start getting some real interesting fights. I really wonder
100%
how that's going to be. But as it stands, like, dude, honestly, if they make the Pantoja rematch next, who are you picking, Chuck?
Well, I would have. I know in the first time when they did it in December, I'd picked Pantoja. And that's because you just think that Van's too green. He's probably, he's going to get schooled on some level of this fight, probably on the ground. But after watching this, his poise and that kind of handling of the spotlight, just believing that he belongs there, believing he's the best, and also makes it a little more difficult. Guy coming off an injury too, with his elbow. And Pantoja's not young, man. What is he? Is he 36, 37, right? Like he's past 35, I think I would lean Van now. You know, I just think that, and also this was like that big moment where you're like, okay, if he's going to get a fight where maybe the moment's too big, this would be it, right? Like in his first, you know, real title defense, people kind of doubting that he's a real champion and all this, and he goes in there and puts on that kind of fight. He's made for the moment. So I feel like he's going to be ready for Pantoja, and I think he's already there, man. So I would probably lean his way.
I think
it's tough,
Long Island. After Saturday, are you picking Pantoja or Van?
I don't fucking know. I was just trying. I thought maybe you were going to come to me and be like, what do you think the odds would be? And I honestly think it would be a pick 'em at this point.
Yeah.
I think the first time they fought, Pantoja was like a minus 200. Van was like plus 170.
I even had Taira like what? He was like,
yeah, he was arguably the same odds. Yeah, he was like
Yeah.
plus 160.
Yeah.
Van was, and Taira was like minus 190. But yeah, I do think he at least narrowed them. He might still be the dog, but it'll be very slight if they fought again. So I really don't, you know, I'd be swayed by the odds, put it that way.
Bro, if I'm Pantoja and I get that fight and I win, I'm leaving and just going to bantamweight. Because otherwise you're just gonna have to keep facing this fucker until he beats you, which is inevitable. You know,
you think Taira looks at this video and he's like, I mean, you like to watch tape. Like, did you see how many times he took punches just straight down the middle, and he just did not move his head? Like,
no,
he just kept taking those spin. He kept moving forward into. I was like, dude, you got to do something a little more. I think he can learn a lot from this tape, is what I'm saying. You know,
there's no question.
He's gonna,
dude, to his credit, like he was getting bombed on in the fifth.
I know,
they
man.
stop it, and he protested. He was like, no, don't stop it.
He was willing to die in there, man.
He looks like a little Japanese schoolboy, like, hello, everyone. And then he's just going there. He's like doing fucking murders. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I want to say this about Josh Van. As I mentioned, he's a natural. First of all, this dude was born my junior year of college, which is just insanely depressing. No, sorry. He was born my senior year of college, which is insanely depressing.
That's so weird.
He was born a month after 9/11.
Yeah.
So listen to this. He's had, I think, 11 fights in UFCs, 10-1. 2 of those are title fights, although the last title fight, the one before this one, was, 26 seconds. So what can you really say? However, I want to just read you his numbers. And some of these came down a little bit because of the amount of takedowns that Taira got, but then consider what the effective result was, right? This fucking guy, after he only made his debut in June of 2023. Now 11 fights later, and now he's champion. Strikes landed per minute, 8.43. I don't know this offhand, Chuck, but I'm willing to bet that in terms of strikes landed per minute for any champion, not only now but ever, that's the highest. Yeah, I'm willing to bet that's.
Wow.
I can confirm because he's the all-time UFC active leader, or active or past leader in strikes per minute. So he's above anyone.
Dude, that is so fucking insane. I cannot, because you have to be in the line of fire to land those kinds of shots, right?
Yeah.
Strikes absorbed per minute is still kind of high, 5.82. There's still a little bit of a problem there. However, takedown defense, 75%. This dropped from 80 because what Taira got. Right. But again, look at the material result. And then his takedown accuracy is still well above 50% at 61%. Dude, like, he's 24. He's only been here less than 3 fucking years. Think about that for a second. He's been in his second title fight, and he's got numeric supremacy here that is like shocking to look at. He is a natural, like very few people are.
You love his audacity too. Like, he's basically like, I want to be the GOAT. He was trying to get John Jones. He missed it by like 180 days. He took that loss earlier with Charles Johnson, right? Like, he took that loss, but he's rebounded. He could have got it, but like him just saying, like, I want to be the GOAT, man. I want to be the GOAT. Like, I like that. Like, sometimes you're like, okay, it's 24-year-old guy. He just hasn't had life beat him down yet. But like but you see how good he is at 24 years old, and I'm like, it is a little John Jones-esque in that sense, where you're like, okay, wait a minute, this guy's already better than like just about anybody going. And I mean, that's why we said Pantoja has to be next, because that's the one remaining question. But right now, I'd favor him against any of the other guys, and I think flyweight is as deep as it's been ever, probably at this point.
Bro, whenever I see a young person like in their teens or in their early 20s talk about like, I want to do great, I want to be, I want to run for elected office and blah blah blah, I just look at him like, oh, my sweet little duckling, you have no idea how life is about to beat the fuck out of you. You are woefully unprepared. Here are the longest flyweight win streaks in UFC history. Obviously, Demetrius is still the gold standard. Chuck, if there was ever a person who could beat this It is Josh Van. Now, Pantoja is certainly putting in a good effort, but Josh Van is, I want to say it one more time, 24. 24 years of age. And also, it kind of sucks, and we'll talk about this a little bit later. The Muhammad Mukayev fight against Adriano Martins Moraes fell out. And
it did? I didn't even hear that.
Well, because he couldn't get a visa or something. What was?
I want to say, all right, it does suck. It's a bummer, but Pumi Nakuda stepping in, dude. That's a banger of a fight. I'm actually even more excited.
That's what.
Fair enough. Right, it's a great replacement. But the point I'm trying to say is, it's time the UFC brought Mukayev back.
100%.
You got these young guys that are ready for another step up, and look at how young, dude. Van's 24.
I know
he's gonna need some competition out there.
It was Mukayev who was like the original, like, I want to beat John Jones' record. Remember, he was the guy gunning for it. I mean, so
honestly, there's been a lot of them. And
I know, but I mean, that's so young. You got to bring him back. You got to bring him back for that fight.
Yeah, but what a treat it is to have a young guy like this. Who, if he can just stay active, and more importantly, he seems like he's got a good family. I hope that they keep this kid grounded, because if they don't, he's obviously reached a lot of greatness, but he won't reach his potential. But if he reaches his potential, there's just very few guys that are going to give Demetrius Johnson a run for his money at 25, and he's got work to do, but he's on his way.
Isn't it wild that they were trying to shutter that division a few years ago? Isn't that just nuts to think about now?
Yeah, by the way, the trash talk of this, oh yeah, I know. Well, you know what? I have to cop to something. I don't know how long ago this was. It was like when they got rid of like Shorty Torres, remember him?
Yeah.
And they were thinking about it. And I did a call-in segment on my Sirius XM show. And at the time, it made sense, which was I did not want to see the flyweight division shuttered. That was not the argument. The argument was not, get rid of it. No. Keep the division. Fix it, but keep it. However, the fun caller-driven segment we did was, if you had to get rid of one division right now, would it be flyweight or would it be heavyweight? Which one would you pick? And, dude, this is at the time when, Kane was still around. JDS was, I think, still around. Like most of the big names were still at least floating around. And it would seem insane to have gotten rid of it. Fast forward 10 or however many years it's been, and you're like, I don't know. I think maybe flyweight won this one long term.
Heavyweight. Take care.
And now on the show, we're like, get rid of these heavyweight bums.
I'd hate to see Hokut go, though. But anyway, I mean, that's like,
Speaking of bad trash talk, we'll end on this one. Take a look at what Pantoja had to say about Van needing to fortify his bones.
You said that backwards. It's Van talking about Pantoja.
Oh, sorry. I apologize. Right. Your caption sucks, but yes, the way Long Island Luke said it.
I was listening to one of your interviews over there, or Pantoja's interview, and Dana White confirms that he's probably next for you. Pantoja seems to want to make this a 5-round, wants to drag it 5 rounds to make it painful for you. And I think I heard your response was he better go drink some milk. Is that correct?
Yes. He better go get some milk, man.
I mean, we gotta. I'm not saying I want.
It wasn't a bone break, was it? It was a. It wasn't a bone break, right? Like, it was a
dislocation.
Dislocation. I mean,
I mean, look, I don't need Islamophobia to get ready for fights. I guess some of the fan base does. I can't join them there. But
it's amazing how many do need that.
A lot of them, buddy. They're like, if we're not insulting Muslims, I just can't watch this fight. And I'm like, really? That's okay. But anyway, in this particular case, I would say, a little pushing and shoving wouldn't hurt anybody. You know what I'm saying? They could use a little help. All right.
Yeah.
With that in mind, let's go to topic number 3. Let's talk the rest of that main card. We're going to do a lot of UFC 328 discussion here. So there's a few different ways to start this conversation. Let's go to the heavyweight fight. Alexander Volkov defeats Waldo Cortes-Acosta. It was, fine. I guess the question is, does Volkov finally have a case for a title shot at heavyweight at this point? What do you think?
I mean, he has a case, but I don't know how many people want to hear it, right? Because did you think he beat Gone? I mean, that's what it kind of comes down to. I thought he beat Gone. So it's like the fight was a split decision. I thought he got robbed in that fight. So he would be on a crazy winning streak at this point. It may not be like the most aesthetic thing. I had a guy texting me last night from that I watches occasionally, and he was like, I think I could beat Volkov right now. And I'm like, well, it just looks slow and prodding, and he sucks the air out of the room a little bit, because, even when Waldo was coming in and trying to like engage and land in the crowd to get into it, he would just kind of coolly leg kick him and peel him off there a little bit and be like, okay, don't do that again. But it slowed everything down. That's how he's winning these fights, kind of outpointing. And the sooner that we scrub that Almeida fight from our minds, the better, right? The one that preceded this.
Mm-hmm.
So even if he has the case, I just don't know if anybody would hear it. Do you? I mean, I don't think there'd be anybody pining to see him get that shot. I feel bad for him because he should get that shot, you know?
Yeah, I think he should get it.
Yeah.
Don't know that he will.
Yeah. It's a mess too right now with all the, you know, Aspinall out and all this stuff.
And what happens? I mean, let's sort of game this out, right? So if Gon wins, they're going to do the Gon rematch, right?
Yeah.
So Gon has to get through 2 fights before there'd ever be a fight for him. If Poatan wins, it's the same thing because they're not going to do, oh, Poatan wins. Well, we got to do Aspinall versus fucking Volkov. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to.
Also got, if Josh Hokett beats Derek Lewis, you don't think they're going to try and throw him into.
So I think if Josh Hokett beats Derek Lewis, they're going to give him to Volkov because it's a terrible fight for Volkov, and it's a great fight for Hokett. The hand speed alone is going to be, the wrestling is just going to be way too much for him in all likelihood. So I think that's actually what's going to happen. It sucks, man, because he did get screwed by Gon. I want to say this about Volkov. Like when he got beat by Vitaly Minakov in Bellator, I was like, oh, he's tall, but he's just, you know, he's good, but he's, you know, it's not, it's whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But I will, but do you have, if you have any pictures of Volkov, put them up here again, Long Island, because look, like you can't really tell from these pictures; it's kind of covered up. But I thought Volkov looked maybe the best shape I've ever seen him in this fight.
Yeah,
he's leaned up, he's faster on his feet. Now he's still slow on his feet, but he was faster than I'd ever seen him. Dude, like the thing about Volkov to me is he doesn't have an ideal build or athletic profile to be, you know, the best heavyweight. Obviously, size confers some advantage. I don't mean to say it suggests that, but you know, he's sort of big and slow, right?
Right.
But he has taken just methodically, piece by piece. He has tried to work on everything that he could to make whatever deal you got dealt, or sorry, whatever hand you got dealt. I'm sorry, whatever hand it is, play that hand. And he has played that hand to me to maximum effect. He's actually gotten really good. If you're not really good and you're not really dialed in or athletic, or you've kind of leveled up in your own way, he'll find that out. You know, he's very good about that. So I really appreciate that from his game. I mean that. I just, you know, you just wouldn't pick him against the other athletic heavyweights. And, you know, there's just not a big pro Volkov constituency
there's not
in the US.
He's
you know?
completely undersung. I don't know what it is exactly. I mean, part of it is he doesn't have like a big dynamic personality either. Like he gets on the mic and I mean, he's sincere and all that, but he doesn't have that it factor. But I do think you bring up a good point. Like if he does fight Hokett, that would be, if it all shook out just like that, that would probably be his moment to, if he was going to get by a guy and really make a definitive case for a title shot, that would be it. I think he's got to get through a guy like that, who's very loud and going to draw a lot of eyes for him to kind of punch that ticket. Does his tattoo distract you? Like if some guys are just covered all over the place, but he's just got this one huge ass tattoo on his back. And I don't know why, but it's like, it's very distracting to me. Like when I watch him fight.
No, back pieces like that are not distracting.
No?
The ones that are distracting are the weird ones that like don't fit the contours, because that's a cover up. The one he has on his back is a cover up of an old tattoo.
Oh, it is? Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
And so the problem with cover ups is that they tend to go much darker and bolder because they're literally trying to cover the ink that's already there. So that's why you got this big old kind of cover up tattoo.
Remember Alan Belcher's like Johnny Cash tattoo?
Yeah, that to me, it's like it's just like distractingly weird.
Right. Yes. Okay.
That's the one that I kind of get a little bit odd about. And again, here are the scores for that fight. You know, I guess well, that's interesting. One judge thought that
that was,
so he gave all 3 to Volkov. Then the next one gave him round 1 and round 2, and then the next one gave him round 2 and round 3. So I guess round 2 was the only one that they all agreed on.
Wow,
that's a little strange.
It is strange. I thought the 3rd round was easy to score. I don't know. Like sometimes I see this. Yeah.
Dana said post fight that he thought Waldo won. So
he did.
Yeah, I don't know if I did, but I also had a bet on Waldo.
I was going to say
that's a little swayed, you know. But.
I thought it was close. I didn't. You know, Cortes-Acosta. This is the problem for him. It's like if you're going to lose, you know, you can always rebound at heavyweight. It's not the end of the world. But this is one of those ones where he had a hard time closing the distance. He ended up having to blitz.
It's frustrating.
Yeah, and he just did. He looked. I don't know. He looked like an unk out there at the fighting another unk at the backyard cookout, just winging heavy,
crazy,
just trying to come over the
those
top.
Those guys who can't close the distance, and you're fighting a tall guy like that who's almost like a lance, like he's jousting you with this, it's so tough. Like you get frustrated watching them try because it's just they can't get it done,
Yeah, it's tough. All right, how about this one? Sean Brady scoring a much needed win, and boy did he ever. 2 scores, if you can fucking believe it, of 30-25. I mean, did you go in there and make him mow your lawn? What the hell? So he got the job done, Chuck. Let's talk about him, and then we'll talk about Joaquin Buckley. But first for Brady, how restorative to his stock was this?
I thought it was a great performance, but I will say, and I know you were looking forward to this fight, and it probably under-delivered in the sense that it was so one-sided, but for Brady's perspective, he did exactly what he should do. Just in that first round, I was looking at Buckley, and I felt like he looked like he was in peak physical shape. It looked like he was, the bigger fighter. He had this optic, like, okay, this is gonna be a tough fight for Brady. And how easy he made that look. I think it was over 12 and a half minutes of control time, just taking him down and onslaught, just beating him from pillar to post that whole fight. I thought that was hugely, it tells you these fights always magnify where that division is. When you look at like Michael Morales and what he was able to do against Brady, doesn't that stand out to you now more when you see how good he is? And then it just reminds you, like, dude, Brady's a beast. When he's on, like, when he's able to dictate the fight, this is what he does. But from the other side of it, it's very disappointing, I guess, for Joaquin Buckley. I mean, we kind of went through this a little bit with the Usman fight, even though he had his moments later in that fight. But it's a fall from grace for a guy. I thought he would have a better resistance, I guess, for that type of fighting. Like he would have some kind of response for Brady's style, but it did not seem like he did.
I mean, it was the repeat of the Usman fight in the sense of, sometimes he looks like in that 5th round against Usman, he was able to stuff the takedown multiple times and look great. There were some instances like that. But in general, dude, like, man, Brady's grappling is a fucking nightmare for anybody if he gets on top. All he needs, I don't know if everyone's noticed this, all he needs is in the middle. He'll jab and cross, switch step his way into getting an underhook in the middle of the octagon, then just walk you to the fence, and then the games begin. You know what I mean? He's tripping, he's body locking, he's level changing for a double or, whatever he's going for. And then once he gets on top, man, holy smokes, dude, his mount is awesome.
Yeah.
Really good. The one criticism that I would have is, he didn't trade with Buckley much on the feet, but that's a dangerous proposition. To me, it's if your mount is going to be that good, and by the way, I feel like my criticism of Chimaev in the DDP fight, boy, that aged pretty well, I feel like, because everyone was like, what do you mean it wasn't dominant? I'm like, he didn't finish the fucking job. Well, turns out there's a problem with that, isn't there? In this case, this was only 3 rounds, so I can't get on him as much, and he was trying. He was actively punching. But when you've got mount and you're trying to ride it, it's kind of hard. Elbows. And you can do 12-6 elbows now. Use them.
Although not in New Jersey. Not in New Jersey. Not in New Jersey.
Okay.
They have the old rule set. Yeah.
Not in New Jersey. Fair enough. But you can still use all different kinds of slashing elbows. You can do closing elbows. You can come slashing over the top. There's just a lot you can do. And he's just covering up with, like, he's bringing his hands. So guard peel and then come down and smash him. Like, just trying to finish a guy from mount with punches while holding mount is a very, very hard thing to do. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Who would you put him against? You know what I mean? Like, that's a big bounce back.
Question.
Good spot. You know who I'd like to see him fight? Because we were just talking about this, the 2 comparisons, right, with the Usman fight. Why not have him fight Usman? I mean, I don't know what they're doing with Usman. I have no idea if he is interested in this kind of fight, but I would love to see that fight.
You could do that. You could do him versus JDM. That's a tough tough fight for JDM. After
that would be
it's like, hey, you got to go fight Carlos Prates and
I know that
Islam
would be
Makhachev. Have fun with that shit, bitch.
Brady said pre-fight he would fight anyone in Philly. That's that August pay-per-view, UFC 330.
Oh, right.
But then he said post-fight he would only fight the right person, and he suggested Usman. So I do think if they made the Usman matchup, he'd be all over that.
That would be
That's a fun one. That's a tough fight.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a tough one for Buckley, man. This is tough. He was sitting at number 9. He's probably going to drop out of the top 10.
You got to give him a striker, don't you? Like, you can't just throw him in there. Another guy who's going to ragdoll him, like throw him down on the ground like that.
How about you could do Buckley JDM?
Yeah, I mean, see, that would be smart, because I think that would be I think JDM could see that as like a good bounce back fight, right? Like he would look at that as something somebody
you could do Buckley Leon. You could do that too.
Yeah,
Buckley MVP would be fun.
Ooh, I hadn't thought about that one.
Is he still with the Oregon? They let him go yet? What's the story on that?
He's ranked number 12. I'm looking at the rankings. 12 and 9. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean,
Medic, right? Like he likes to stand and bang and throw
something like that seems a little bit more appropriate. But like you got a real clear difference there, where one guy was like, the Morales fight didn't go his way, but he was able to climb back up, and one guy, okay, Usman fight didn't go your way, but you didn't really cover for the problem, So
it tells me that Michael Morales, though, man, that dude, he's got to be one of those like pending stars in the league for how easy he got through Brady. That's just crazy, man.
That loss is going to end up looking not so bad. I mean, it was a bad loss, but it'll be not too terrible in the future. Lastly, how about King Green? By the way, winning at 420, you got to love that. 420 of round number 1.
Dude, that is funny. I didn't realize that.
I mean, here's the thing. This fight didn't need to be on the main card, but the fans love it. They love Bobby Green. Bobby Green, after the fight, Chuck, asking Venom he wants Apollo Creed inspired trunks. And it's like, dude, let me just say this about Bobby Green. And it's a very short thing. And I've mentioned it a million times. There are guys out there in the fight game who are never going to touch gold, and they're never even going to get close. And yet you can't deny that they make MMA better and more fun. And there's millions like them, like a Donald Cerrone, a Matt Brown. You can go on down the list. How about adding a guy like King Green to that? Is he going to beat Islam Makhachev? No, he's not. Is he going to beat Ilya Taporia? Nope, he's not. However, you can't deny, is MMA, is UFC better? Is your UFC experience better because of guys like King Green? Unquestionably, Chuck, it is.
And occasionally he does this. And I know, Jeremy Stevens, very long in the tooth. He's barely won a fight in the last 7 years, but it's just his kind of style, right? Like he keeps his hands way low. He's talking. He's kind of moving his chin in there. He's like daring you to do something, and then he just sparks you, right? And this fight, it was very easy for him. And the Jim Miller fight, when he fought Jim Miller at UFC 300, I think it was, he just kind of tore him apart, like, it's okay. Like the right opponent, like he'll just put on a show for you. And it's kind of like, you're like, dude, what? I don't know what it is. Like you mentioned that you got to have these types of guys on the card. I do think it's funny that he basically is like, hey, Dana, whatever he said at the end. And he was basically lobbying for the bonus, right? And in the post-fight presser, basically Dana's like, well, we'll give him his custom shorts. That's what kind of the consolation prize of this. I mean, he did not get the, he did not get the bonus. He does get the automatic $25,000 bonus, right, for finish, but he did not get the performance bonus.
Yes, well, that can happen.
Yeah.
Along the way there, I think we got to. Very quickly before we move on, because I forgot about it. Long Island, what the hell happened with the betting line on Brady and Buckley? What was that?
So you're the one who put me onto this, LT. You texted
I just saw the movement, but I didn't understand what was happening.
Yeah, that was weird.
So basically, this shows Joaquin Buckley's line. So as you can see, he opened as a, what is that, plus 210 underdog, or sorry, plus 250. I have terrible eyes. And then closed as a minus 182. That is a crazy flip. So basically, he went from a huge underdog to a pretty decent favorite, and Sean Brady, obviously, vice versa. So people were hopping on Sean Brady as a dog. Congratulations to anyone who did that, because that's fucking fantastic. We do have a clip of Sean Brady talking after about he got a call from the UFC about the betting lines. Here it is.
Let's see it.
Have to ask about the weird betting lines that were happening before this fight. Did that reach you at all? Because it seems pretty wild that they swung that.
Somebody at the UFC reached out to me a couple hours before my fight and just made sure I was fine. And I was sitting like this, getting worked on by my strength coach. Well, just got done getting worked on, and I was like, I'm completely fine. There's nothing wrong with me. My wife was upstairs. They already all knew about it, but they weren't telling me because they didn't want to let anything get in my head. But as soon as they called, I told them I'm good. I went one ear, went out the other. Then, like I said, I didn't know if I could have been a minus 10,000 favorite or a plus 10,000. I wouldn't have known because I didn't look. So, yeah, I'm completely fine. And somebody just lost a bunch of money.
Yeah. Hey, Long Island, I was going to ask, like, in an off-center kind of fight like this, not a main attraction, right? Is it somebody moving in with like a big big, bet, and that's what sways it? Oh, you're muted.
You're muted.
Sorry. I feel like even if you put $1 million on
right
one of them, it wouldn't move it that much.
Weird. It's so weird that I don't know what happened.
Way too much.
The plus 250 though, I didn't see it when it was like that, but plus 250 it never should have been the case for Brady. Not in that kind of stylistic matchup. That's crazy to me.
It certainly is. Anyway, fun main card. We'll talk about the prelim card in a second, but we got to remind everyone about our friends from Cuervo. Chuck had a great time with old Ray Longo in studio. It's always fun to get in studio, and listen. I you always have to enjoy things responsibly. I love my margs at 11 a.m. on these days. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Ray thought we were crazy, but he had a good time in the end. See?
Yeah, he sure did.
Into it.
And we'll be back in studio before you know it, and it's always a great time when we do. So it's a good time to remind all of you that our pregame previews, of course, are sponsored by our friends. Ooh, you know what? At Cuervo. From face-off to final decision, Fight Night delivers the adrenaline and Cuervo the energy to match it. Certainly it was on Saturday. Whether you're hosting your crew at home or catching the action at a bar, Cuervo brings the good vibes that turn every round into a celebration. From margaritas to palomas, every main event simply tastes better with the world's most iconic tequila. No matter who walks out with the belt, with Cuervo in hand, there we are, you're already celebrating like an undisputed champion. For every round, keep it fun, keep it Cuervo. And of course, you guys know the Combat Sports calendar is heating up for the summer. UFC White House card is fast approaching. International Fight Week the month thereafter. So stay tuned for our plans and coverage on that. And of course, we're going to be enjoying Cuervo the whole way. You should too, in your own home and or places of fun. All right? All right. Very good. Let's do this. Let's now talk last thing about the UFC 328 card. Let's get to that preliminary card if we can. I don't need to touch every part of this card, Chuck. I didn't think the card was bad by any stretch, but I thought I didn't. We only need to talk about the stuff that ruled. Number one, Yaroslav Amosov. Okay. I want to say a couple things about this. I said, Chuck, on the pregame, this was the fight on the prelim card I wanted to see the most. Look at this high amplitude mat return that he did in the top picture on Joel Alvarez, who, by the way, is a fun, good fighter, to be very clear, good. Talented guy out of Spain. But, Chuck, there's all this consternation about, the guys from Bellator, they're not that good and they're failing and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, a lot of that might be true, but I don't know if we've got all the right ones from Bellator.
Right.
This is one of the right ones. What a fun entrant he is into this division.
You're 100% right, man. We were talking about Patchy Mix and guys like that who came over, a little more high-profile fighters, and they just didn't translate in the UFC. This guy came over fairly unsung. I mean, I felt like people knew of him, but they weren't really paying close attention to him. But they are now. I mean, if you watch this fight, I thought Alvarez, and Alvarez was the underdog in this fight, but I was like, this is kind of a dangerous fight. I think Alvarez could be the guy who is able to stop him, in that situation, because his only loss, Alvarez, was against Sarukian a couple of years ago. So I was like, I really thought that he was kind of hitting it on strike. Did you see how easy he made that look? Like Amosov, like that, it was wild. This is a guy, if you've really kind of paid any attention, we just were talking about Logan Storley and what do you do with a guy who's that dominant when he wrestles, and this guy shut Storley down 50-45 in their rematch, and he can do it any way he wants, it seems like. I feel like he is completely unsung, but if you watch this fight, he should be, I really believe now that you're looking at a future contender, maybe within a year. That's how good I thought he was that good.
I'm so glad he's here, and I'm so glad he's doing what he's doing. He's the tannest Ukrainian I've ever seen, because he's obviously training down there in Florida,
That's true.
He's so fucking skilled. He's had it. I mean, this is the good thing about competing in Bellator, man. Like, you get to iron out your game, with tough but manageable challenges. And, it's just nice to see a guy come over and you can tell instantly he can swim with the Sharks here. I'm not saying he's going to win a title. That's a different conversation. But is he going to be a player in the top 10? There's simply no question about it.
Alvarez had never been submitted, and he made that look incredibly easy.
Yeah. Now, on the feet, he got touched up, but Alvarez is good on the feet.
Yeah. I mean, that's the type of showcase fight, though, that he needed. The Neil Magny, I mean, we watched it because we watch all the fights, and it was like, well, that's a sturdy veteran who got through him. we'll see about this one. And now he got through this. He's passing the test, and they could throw him in the top 10 right now. And I'd in the right matchup, I'd be like, I'd favor him.
Jim Miller gets the choke at 3:29 of round number 1 over Jared Gordon. He snatches the neck in transition. I mean, what can we say? It was a night for the unks, the Ray Longo prognosticators, and then the old guys out there, Chuck, like Jim Miller.
Jesus.
I want to say this about Jim Miller, and if I'm sure you probably agree, but like, people might be asking, like, how does he keep doing it? Well, on the one level, he is kind of reassigned what competition level he's sort of like, staying focused on, and that's part of it. But the other part of it, Chuck, is, we see so many guys rush to UFC these days, and they just don't have the skills to, even if they can get a win, that they can't hang on to a career. I did that XFC card recently, and there's some really good fighters on there, but there were guys, they're fighters themselves, admitted to me. They went on the Contender Series, and they won. And then they got to UFC, and it was like the whole thing kind of came apart. They weren't ready for it. Look at how Jim Miller has longevity in this game by virtue of how outrageously skilled he is. Yeah. He has deep, deep wells of skill. And, of course, veteran experience to match it, Chuck. But, like, dude, skills win fights. And it's not an accident why he keeps winning, even at 175 years old. You know what I'm saying?
Is it 47? UFC fights? I mean, it's an incredible number. I mean,
he's barreling down on 50. You can't believe it.
I was looking because I knew he debuted at UFC 89. I did a piece a long time ago, and it feels like 25 years ago. It feels like so long ago that we did this. I had to look this up. Like UFC 89, like the card that he debuts on, he ended up getting his first submission. It's Bisping Lieben. It was Brandon Vera was fighting against Jardine. There was Louis Kane versus Sokaju. Listen to these names. They've been out of the game 5, 10, 15 years, like all of them, right? Chris Lytle against Paul Taylor's Marcus Davis was fighting,
the Irish hand grenade.
Paul Kelly, and you had Hardy versus whoever he's fighting, Gomo, I think it was. Gono, like you look back at that and you're like, how is that possible that Jim Miller is still around? You think about those names, so many of them are bygone or they're on to like broadcasting careers or whatever. They've all moved on so far from like the actual competition of fighting, and yet Jim Miller's still in there submitting guys. That's pretty crazy, man.
And not just that, like, look, okay, so he lost to Chase Hooper back in 2025. Fine. But like Jared Gordon finished in the first round. Damon Jackson finished in the first round. Gabriel Benitez finished in the third round. Jesse Butler finished in the first round. And again, he's got some losses sprinkled in there. But even going back to 2022, Donald Cerrone finished in the second round. Right. Nicholas Mota finished in the second round. And then Eric Gonzalez finished in the second round. Like Roosevelt Roberts finished in the first round. Clay Guida. I mean, it just goes on and on and on like this.
We'd be here all day. He's
so fucking skilled. Yeah. He's so great to watch. Obviously, we've told a story a million times, and it's just this is what I mean, dude, about like, is every guy going to be a champion? No, but it's stupid to only care about the champions because there's so much more depth and character in MMA beyond that.
Here's something like this. I did a piece on Anthony Bourdain back in the day. I met him at the Lambs Club in New York City. And I asked him, who's your favorite fighter? He said, I love Jim Miller. It's crazy that he's able to do what he's doing at such a rate. This is in 2016. Like he's like, it's crazy that he's at his, kind of with the experience level he's at, where he's been at it a long time, that he's still doing that. That was 10 years ago, dude. 10 years ago. Bourdain's been dead for 8 years. It's like, and he was saying that then. It's just it's a wild ride.
Elsewhere on this card, Chuck, are you a believer in Baisingar Susurkayev?
Yeah, man. I mean, because he's so young. I thought he kind of.
I'm not.
You're not a believer? How come?
I think he didn't have the estimation.
Yeah.
All fighters are crazy confident, but then there's a certain level of delusion. You kind of have to fine tune it, but like his delusion to me looks like the kind that could undo him.
Yeah. Well, you remember back in the day with like Rashad Evans coming up on Tough, and he's kind of hot dogging it all the time. People didn't like the showboat, but he could back it up, right? Like he would get in there. I remember the Chuck Liddell when he's kind of giving him some of that sass, and then he knocks him out, and that was like, all right, dude. I mean, he is who he is. I haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen the guy that you're like, there's a good reason for him to have that kind of swagger in there like that. But he is very young, and he's in Florida, right? Like he's training with these guys. I don't know. I certainly see. I don't know if I'm a believer in the sense that he'll be a champion, but I'm a believer that he can be a contender in that at some point.
Contender maybe. I'm not sure about much more than that for me personally.
Yeah.
Roman Kopylov. Oh my God. Roman Kopylov.
I thought of you. I thought of you.
Oh my God. Oh my God. He gets the job done against Marco Tulio. So in the end, he gets the win. He deserved it. But the fight IQ, bro, what is up?
Oh my!
And once again, it's one of these things where it's like, oh, what do you know? You haven't fought. And it's like, right, you're right. I haven't. But I have watched what the very best do, and they don't do that shit. You know what I mean? Oh. In fact, they assiduously avoid it, where you have your opponent rocked to like a motherfucker, and then you decide to wrestle him in a way that lets him regain his breath as well as his senses, and you do it multiple times in a fight. And by the way, he wasn't the only one on this card who did it. There was another guy who did it as well. And I was just sitting there looking at this being like, I'm just going to scroll TikTok. I'm not.
He did it twice, too. He did it twice. Like, he could have finished this fight twice. But the one you're talking about, he lands the shots. He's landing these lefts on the fence. The referee moves in. Like, okay, a couple more of these and we're done. And he tied up as if he was the one under bombardment. Like, he was the one who tied up, like, okay, I got to stop this. I was like, what are you doing? And I know that the commentators were saying that too, but there is nothing more frustrating to me than a guy who lacks that killer instinct or just doesn't know what he's... it drives me nuts. And also that they've incentivized basically these finishes, right? Like by giving you 25 grand, whatever it is. He missed his chance to get that. Like, it ends up being a decision. And I'm like, great. You showed that you're a good fighter on the feet, but I have no idea what he's thinking, man. I mean, what does he do what does he see when he watches the tape? And you're like, okay, wait, maybe I did something. Does he see that? Does he see the error of his ways?
Do they watch the tape?
I have no idea, man.
You know what I mean?
We've talked about this guy before, though. I don't know, man.
His game can be fun because he's a hard-nosed striker, which I like. But it's like, dude, it's so weird to me that things that should be obvious to high-level fighters are just not. Yeah. And to me, there can be a case for rocking a guy and then taking him down. That there can be a case, but if it doesn't happen very quickly, you have fucked up.
Not when you're a boxer too. It's like, dude, this guy's like his hands are the reason he's in there. Come on.
It's like, dude, if you're not able to carry the momentum that you've got hurting him to the ground. So if you can carry that momentum to the ground and now you're fucking just, he can't even move and you're pounding on him, fine, no problem. If you have to wrestle this motherfucker to the ground for minutes on end, you have fucked up.
You're letting him recover. If I was one of those guys who's like, I have a Kopylov by knockout, as part of a parlay, and you saw that, can you imagine? Oh my God.
Long Island. What else on this prelim card stood out to you? The king of the undercard.
Grant Dawson. I mean, getting the finish over Mateusz Raumbetsky. He did this weird. He called it the GD variation of the rear naked choke.
It's a genie choke. I can explain it to you.
Okay, explain it.
So a rear naked choke is if I were to. You gotta put the camera on me.
Oh, sorry.
If this is someone's neck, a rear naked choke, and I can't quite do it here. Obviously, it would go to the bicep, and then this would come around. Right, it would come around, okay, and then you put your head down there too. So it's on the bicep, and then this. Some people think you put the this way. You don't. You actually look at your palm, and then that's the way you do it. And then again, you can bring it elbow in line with their center line. There's a lot of details, but this is the basic idea. But what happens if they're peeling your hand? So then what you can do is you can go up to the shoulder with the choking arm, and then when they try to peel this hand, you just grab the back of the arm. And then it's kind of like a little dip, and then you choke that way. So it's called the genie choke.
Wow. Learned something new here, Long Island. This is cool.
Yeah, I mean, what else can you teach us, LT? Can you tell us what who else fought on this card? I don't even know.
Atiba Gauthier got away.
Oh, yeah, Atiba.
Fine.
It's time for them to ramp him up, though, man. They got to give him like a guy that, a better competition at this point. I thought Ozzy was fine. The stoppage was a little quick, too. Did you guys think so on that one?
No, I didn't mind it. I was looking forward to that fight being over, actually.
I mean, he wasn't going to come back, but
I feel like how LT feels about Susarkayev, where I'm like, I don't know if I'm sold on Gauthier as like a. I mean, he's still so young, but like I don't know. He's.
I mean, dude, put that picture of Gauthier back up. This fucking guy. Let's just assume he's telling the truth. He told, like, I think UFC.com or something. He was like, "Yeah, I don't lift weights. I don't like the way it makes me feel." Do you understand? I have even at the point where I was lifting weights 6 times a week, I never looked like this. I've had to lift weights like a motherfucker to at best have a mid physique. And he does. He's like, "What do you do?" He's like, "Yeah, I just, I go to a town and I carry my groceries home and I look like the Incredible Hulk." What the fuck?
He goes to kitty cafes and pets the cats. He's all about the cats. Yeah. I know we already talked about the Jim Miller fight, but I just want to say that was the loudest the arena got besides the main card, like besides
from
the
New
top
Jersey.
3 fights
or
whatever.
Jersey guy,
Dude, but they got hyped
That's
for
awesome.
Jim Miller. It was a great moment.
New Jersey loves its own, man. I saw Bruce
Yeah.
Springsteen there years ago. God, it was like
no one else is gonna love him. Let's be honest about that. All right, and that is our rundown for UFC 328. So before we end things here, let's go to topic number 5, and let's kind of get to some smaller stuff that happened, relative to what we cover, some smaller stuff that happened around the horn here, so to speak, in the combat sports world. Let's talk about the first part, Chuck, which is simple question. So I saw, you may have seen this. So Ariel Helwani did like a Friday night show. Did you go?
No.
Okay. But I know he did like a Friday night show. I think Wonder Boy was there. What did you say?
I wasn't invited, so.
You know what? Fuck you. No, but I'm serious. Like, Wonder Boy was there, and I think Joe Pyfer might have been there. And some other folks. Yeah. And during the course of it, and again, this is, you've worked with Ariel forever. I don't work with him any longer, but I worked with him for a while. And like, if he didn't exactly report it, Chuck, but like if he's reporting something, it's as good as fact. Okay. I can just tell you it's a fact. You can like him or you can hate him. It's a fact. Yeah. And he says, again, he didn't exactly say I'm reporting, but he kind of intimated that on Friday night, there was going to be an announcement within 24 hours about Conor's return to the octagon. And then there is no announced return. And Dana is asked about it. I want to play this clip and then get your reaction.
Conor would return this summer.
Yeah.
He had been tweeting a lot about his contract situation and everything over the last several months. Is anything new with Conor's contract, or is it still like this?
There is no deal done with Conor. I was just saying I'm confident. I was confident last year too, but I'm way more confident this year. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh boy.
So again, I'm not trying to do this to blow up Ariel. In fact, I think if he had a reason to say it, it was probably like everything was at the finish line or something. So like International Fight Week is not that far away. What's going on here with Conor?
Well, saying that there's no deal though, that makes me think that you're right. It got to the goal line and it just didn't get across. He said extremely confident when he was on whose show was he on? Jim Rome or something, or somebody was pressing him and he's like, I'm extremely confident. And I thought the deal was basically done. But to hear him say this, that actually was quite a walk back. Wasn't it? That seemed to me like he no longer is as certain that it's going to get done. So this tells me that there's some kind of contractual snag at the end here. But man, if this doesn't happen at this point, how many times have we done this with Conor? I just feel like we've been through this loop so many times. It would just be bad, wouldn't it? Like if we go through this again and he's not fighting.
I can I offer something that I think is happening, or at least I got told by somebody who would really know, not so much about the Conor situation specifically, but about like how these negotiations go. And basically, if you think about it, Conor's got 2 things that they have to figure out, and I think this is what the problem is. Number one, if John Jones is asking for 30 million, Conor could be asking for 50 plus. Because whatever Jones can sell, Conor can sell that or 2x. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so partly he might be asking for a lot of money, and he might be asking for a lot of money, not really because if Jones is going to get 30, I can get 50 or 60, but also because, they just signed a nearly $8 billion deal. He might be thinking, come up off your pockets now. I think that could be one fault line, but I don't think that's the biggest one. The biggest one I do think is number one, he's had 2 fights left on his remaining deal. Whatever money he would make fighting Nate Diaz in the UFC, he would make 2x that fighting him outside. There's just there's just no doubt about that. So I think that they want to extend him, and they probably want to extend him. But can you imagine if Conor left UFC at the end of 2 more fights? That would be a big deal
That is
for
a good
UFC
point.
to
Yeah.
lose him, you know?
Yeah.
Even amidst all of his troubles and inactivity and everything else. So that's one. And then the other part is there probably is there's a pay issue involved. There's this extension involved. And then the other part is not just what the aggregate pay looks like, but the mechanism of it, because he's on an old deal. So he's on an old deal that's got 2 fights left that doesn't match how new deals work. They want to extend him, but they also signed a big deal, and now he probably wants a lot more money to make it work. I can see why this is taking a while to go through, right?
Yeah. I think you laid it out exactly right. They do not want him to walk. They don't want him to go, be done, and that's it for Conor, right? They do not want that.
Conor being on Netflix is something they probably don't ever want to see, but I bet he does. What's up, Long Island?
Side note, someone asked a question about BSD Patty being on International Fight Week to Dana, and Dana was like, we never announced that. That's not a done deal. That's not a fight. Whatever. Dana says that a lot, so maybe he's just saying it's not a done deal. If Conor's out, do you think they do like BSD Max BMF title for International Fight Week? Like, is
Max
that...
and back-to-back BMF fights?
Well, the argument is they're going to do Max BMF for Conor, right? Or is it just going to be a fight?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, sorry,
that might have
Max
been a
lost the
170.
BMF. I'm stupid.
Yeah,
Max
he
lost
did.
the
Yeah.
BMF. All right,
Max
I'm
lost
forgetting
it
about
too.
that. All right, I take it all back.
It's hard to do
BSD?
Long Island, I don't know if you know this. It's hard to do this show when you're high. It hurts.
I beg to differ, but
All right, Chuck, you may have just caught the highlights. I don't know, but Daniel Dubois versus Fabio Wardley over the weekend. My litmus test from MMA side of things, if you've never seen Bigfoot versus Mark Hunt 1, it is a fight where by the third round, you're watching it through your fingers because you can't believe it's the first 10 seconds, by the way, of round number 1.
First punch, right?
First punch. Down goes Dubois. Dude, they killed each other for as long as it lasted. Dubois went down, I think, a couple of times. Wardley never did, but Wardley loses. I saw people saying this is the best loss they've ever seen. This was absolute magic. Frank Warren himself said this was the best heavyweight fight he's ever put on.
It's crazy.
Absolute heavyweight magic on the other side of the pond this past weekend.
Their whole motif for this fight was like, don't blink, don't blink. The very first punch, boom, he's down. What was it, like the third round, goes down again, takes a knee. To kind of come back, like that 6th round was wild, man. I mean, I was thinking, like, what was it the third fight between Fury and Wilder? Like, you think back to the fights where you're like, oh my God, like at the heavyweight variety that as you're watching, you're like, this is incredible. That's what this was. I didn't get a chance to watch it live. I don't know if you watched it live, but I was able to catch it later. And dude, heavyweights aren't supposed to be able to withstand that. It's not supposed to happen. It's just, so to see that kind of fight going back and forth, and for Dubois to come back and get it, that was tremendous, man. It did remind me a little bit of like, what would you put this up with? You just mentioned the Bigfoot one. I think that is a great equivalent for the boxing ring, right? Like, for translated there.
I mean, now this one won a title. Granted, there's multiple world titles in boxing, but it's as electric as any heavyweight bout I've ever seen. I'll put it that way, just in terms of raw entertainment. Yeah,
fun, man. It was
super fun. Okay, Cody Garbrandt is going to be facing Adrian Yanez at UFC 329. Yanez had a bit of a rebound. I thought he got cheated in his last fight. It should have been a win for him. Ended up being a draw, I recall. Cody Garbrandt seems to be hanging on. Chuck, what's on the line between these two?
I mean, just staying relevant, right? I mean, both guys have had rough times. I mean, Garbrandt especially, just kind of his whole ride after post-title, like where it just seemed like he's got chinny and all that, but he has been better. I don't know if you saw, like, his last fight, he looked pretty good, and he's had moments where you're like, okay, there's the Garbrandt that we know. The one, I don't know if we've ever seen the version that did that to Dominic Cruz, but he's had his moments. I just think that he's just on the precipice, man, like where he still has a name, but at some point you lose interest in a guy if he can't win. And I think it's a good matchup. I think he should be able to compete in this one and put on a good fight, but it's just relevance, right? Like, I feel like you kind of slip from the talks altogether at that point.
Yeah, I mean they're both skilled, but hanging on there a little bit.
Yanez too. He had he had some hype, and he's kind of hit the skids a little bit too. So it's the same thing. He's got to kind of maintain. If you can't lose this one.
Elsewhere, Costello Vancinis is going to face Johnny Eblen. This is going to headline at PFL Austin. This will be Saturday, July 18th. Of course, this is the rematch where Eblen won basically everything but the fight in the last 20 seconds. Your intrigue for this. Johnny Eblen, by the way, rebounding big time against Brian Battle, and then Vancinis stopping Fabian Edwards in Spain.
Well, it's kind of like the Mackenzie Dern, like, enjoy your belt, like if Whaley comes back, it doesn't seem like, so enjoy your victory lap while you have it. I kind of feel like that a little bit with Vancinis because, yes, the first fight was almost like Hollywood cinematic, the way it went down, right? He's losing the whole fight until the very end inside of a minute, like he catches the submission, or was it a TK? I can't remember.
No, he submitted him from the back.
He submitted him, and it was like, and then he gets this homecoming in Madrid, Vancinis, and like he wins that fight. He was an underdog in that fight. He wins it. Now it's the return match, and they're doing it in Austin. I mean, it's a fun ride, but man, if that Johnny Eblen that we just saw against Brian Battle, I know Brian Battle, like you can discount him and in that situation, he did not put up much resistance, but Eblen's a competitor, and this is just stuck in his craw the wrong way this whole way. He's going to be ready, man, and I'd be shocked if he doesn't walk out of there with the title.
Last but not least, I just kind of wanted to pitch this question to you. Josh Hogan, of course, got added to the UFC White House card. They added him to the presser, and I don't know. I think it'd be wrong to say he stole the show, but he certainly made for part of it. It's kind of an interesting debate, Chuck. I wonder where you come down on it. Is his gimmick working hard or hardly working? What do you think?
I would love to say it's hardly working, but again, he's making the rounds. We all watched it, and it's like, it's just such... Does it bother you to watch stuff like that? It makes I can't.
I don't
the
watch
cringy,
it. I can't.
The cringy stuff is. It's like I can't. It makes I have to turn it off when it starts happening. I'm like, oh, I can't watch this. It's so awkward to me to see guys try that hard, like that try hard. Like just. I think he thought he was having that Conor McGregor moment with Jeremy Stevens. Where he's like, who the fuck is this guy? I think he thought he was having that moment, but the rhymes and the golden showers and then the whole Ilya thing, I was just like, I couldn't make it through. The problem is it's to me it's quite obviously working. Now it's a question of how long it will work or how far it can take you in terms of the ultimate heights. I think the jury is maybe still a little bit out on that, but like, dude, people have just have to accept where we are with things, and this is not exclusive to MMA by any stretch of the imagination. But like, dude, MMA culture is troll culture now. It's just troll culture. Right.
So you don't have to be Andy Kaufman wrestling women and be like the world wrestling champion of women. And then, you're going on late night TV shows kind of taunting them. That's not what this is. It's not performance art. It's just, can you find a way to stand out? Can you find a way to, for whatever reason, be memorable? It doesn't have to be coherent or funny or good. It just has to be noticeable, and then that noticeability has to then translate into something else. Now, he's obviously making it work because his fighting style has been pretty electric to this point.
Yeah,
we'll see if he can keep that up. But like, people keep trying to deny that it's working because they're trying to grade the performance, and that's just the wrong way to look at it. It's got nothing to do with it. If troll culture is the defining way in which to understand them, all you have to ask is whether or not his trolling is eliciting a response.
Right. Yeah.
End of argument.
Well, it's definitely doing that. A lot of people are talking about it. We're talking about it. We're not. I mean, I feel like we're barely scratching the surface. Unfortunately, I feel like we're going to be seeing a lot of it coming up here.
And he won't be the only one.
No.
Before we get to DMs from Donks, I want to remind everyone, we just came off UFC 328. Next month, of course, is going to be, the whole summer is going to be filled with a bunch of big fights, but the big fights roll on this upcoming weekend. Can you believe it? It is already here. The return of Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey faces Gina Carano on Netflix. Most valuable promotions, and Netflix, of course, are putting on the blockbuster MMA fight featuring triple headliner of fan favorite fighters on Saturday, May 16th. It's Netflix's first MMA fight, and it's going to be awesome, I think. For the main event, it's Ronda Rousey. She's back to shake up the world of combat sports with her first fight in nearly a decade, taking on fellow women's MMA pioneer Gina Carano. Combat sports icon Nate Diaz is going to face Platinum Mike Perry. That's my personal favorite one. Pitting two of the sport's toughest competitors against each other. Francis Ngannou is on this card, widely regarded as the hardest puncher in MMA history, maybe, and certainly as well the lineal heavyweight champion. He's going to be facing off against Felipe Lins in a heavyweight bout. You won't want to miss. 5 rounds, 5 minutes each. Our chance to leave it all. 5 rounds, 5 minutes each. One chance to leave it all in the cage. You don't want to miss this. Watch Rousey versus Carano live only on Netflix Saturday, May 16th at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. And of course, we're going to get you ready for that on Friday. We'll have a reaction next Monday. I'll have some stuff on my personal channel. I'm sure Chuck will have coverage as well. It'll be a lot here, Chuck. That going. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm anxious to see it. I want to see the production, like kind of what they do with the MMA things. There's a lot of curiosity going into that. Besides the great match, I'm down for. I know like the Rousey coming back and like kind of reminding people of who she was is fun for me. You know, I didn't think I would have this much
the way
fun.
she left. I thought we'd never be here. You know what I mean?
Exactly, 100%.
Kind of unexpected for me. All right, that is it for our top 5 topics. Let's go right now into DMs from Donks. All right, let's now go to question number 1 from Antonio M. Alvarez. Why does the UFC bother going to New Jersey if the Athletic Commission still adheres to an outdated set of rules, such as no 12-6 and one hand on the ground to be considered a downed opponent? It is annoying that they have these slightly different rules, Chuck.
I hate that. Especially because New Jersey's supposed to be leading the way, like, right?
Yeah,
like
that's right.
To be,
New Jersey still has what I would consider to be one of the better respected commissions. There's probably going to be site fees, as Long Island Luke brings up in the comments. Also, they are close to New York. This is, there's going to be, the gate wasn't like a Las Vegas gate, but it was still a pretty good gate, sub 8 mil. There's good reasons for it.
Yeah, and I mean, back in the day, it was like New Jersey was the New York stop, right? Because they were just trying to like show, hey guys, we'd love to do it across the river, but they've always had big shows there. You know, John Jones with Shogun, they've had a ton, right? And I feel like they just they make money there. You know, it's like they're going to make money there. It is crazy though. The New Jersey Athletic Commission, especially with Nick Limbo and everything, like has not updated itself to catch up with the rest of the
in fact states. They actively resisted and wanted it to be like they wanted it to be known they were resisting. So that's kind of strange, but what are you going to do? All right, question number 2 from Sergeant Molina. Is this the beginning of Chimaev's downfall? Chuck, we kind of touched on this. I have to say, you mentioned the loss of aura. That can only be continued if they can also, other opponents can find ways to stop him. And I do think that there's just going to be a class of fighter that's really never going to stand a chance against him.
Sure.
But against the elite guys, I am very curious to see what this does to him long term.
There's a little bit of me, and we touched on this too, like that just wonders how bad he wants to do it. And I'm, maybe I'm wrong, but it's going to be a tough road for him if he stays at middleweight, because I think you're right that the tape's out on him. But if he goes to light heavyweight, I don't know, man. I don't think he can rediscover that sheen of invincibility or whatever it is there. It may be gone for good, but I don't know. The downfall is pretty strong. Like, I don't know if he's just going to plummet off the face of the earth. He may still win some fights. I just don't think he's going to have the same kind of chill factor that he used to, where you're like, ooh, God, this guy. I don't know if he has that anymore.
Question number 3 from Jonathan to Darying. I don't know how to say his fucking name. Given how good Van and Strickland's jabs were, does it not frustrate you to no end that other fighters like Volkov don't develop a good jab? Dude, it is quite literally fucking true. You can win a UFC title not once but twice doing it.
Yeah.
Like the jab is the best and most important punch in boxing, and it might be the same in MMA. What the fuck are we doing?
The teep kicks too. Like you're almost like, well, it's like a kind of a leg jab, you know, like just keep distance. I'm always shocked. Like, and you see like certain fighters where you're like, this would be very effective. It'd be very effective for you right now to have a teep, or if you like, work the jab. But we watched this game a long time, man. There are some guys that just refuse to do it.
Dude, he doesn't have combination punching. No. He doesn't do spinning back fists, all that other shit. It's just bop, bop, just for 25 minutes. Bop, and you can win a UFC title doing that. Yeah. Like, there's very few other things you can point to in someone's arsenal that you can do for long stretches of time to win a title. It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, next. Flannels and Jits. Wood does Jim Miller? That's not a great question. Does Jim Miller rank among the best submission artists in UFC history? Yes, of course. Does he have the best guillotine in UFC history?
Where does he rank? It should say, not would. Where does he rank?
Oh, where does Jim Miller rank?
Yeah. Oh, it's got to be up there, right? I mean, that's his whole thing.
For sure. Especially in the lightweight division, and there's been some good ones, but even then, he would be very, very high. I don't know where I would rank him all time because, you've got Verdum, Nogueira, Mir, just at heavyweight, Barnett, just at heavyweight, and on down the list, Jacare, some other ones as well. But certainly at lightweight, top 3 probably. No, because you got Penn, Oliveira, Islam. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, there's a lot of good ones. Tough. You know what I mean? There's a lot of good ones.
He is one of the more dogged. You know how you talk about wrestlers being that way, like just doggedness. They're going to just dictate that. He is one of the more dogged submission like seekers. Like he just, he sells out for it and gets them, man. I mean, like you got to give it to him, and it works. It works. He's proven that over the course of time.
Guillotine point, Dan Miller, his brother, who fought for a time in UFC, who was in his corner. Dan had one of the best guillotines ever in IFL history. He just had a guy whose neck was touching his chin, like it was the most insane thing.
That's right. I know what you're talking about.
I remember up against the ropes. He had this dude. I thought he was going to break his neck. So the Miller brothers are very good guillotiners.
Yeah.
Last question, number 5. Sticks plays time. What's the dumbest thing you've seen a coworker do at a previous job you've had? Steal.
Definitely seen some of that. I don't know. What a funny question. I mean, I don't know what your early jobs were. I worked in the food industry, like serving.
I worked at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. I mean, so you see some shit when you work at things like that. But the thieving, I think, is probably the biggest. I mean, there's all kinds of that,
bro.
I know.
People
they do.
Steal.
They do.
Definitely, I've seen stealing. Stealing was probably the biggest one. I'm trying to think if there's anything like super donk. But you know what, man? Like, I was in the Marine Corps too, so I saw some donk shit up in that. Oh my god, have I seen some donk shit in that? But I'm trying to think, like, on my Joe jobs, like ordinary jobs, because I worked doors at bars. I worked at Chick-fil-A. I worked at Baskin Robbins for a while.
Wow, man, that's hard to imagine.
Yeah, I know. It was my senior year of college, and I needed some money. I quit that job because then I got hired to go do work the door, and the door money was way better. I was like, yeah, I'll just take that. I'm trying to think. At the bar, oh my god, I saw people banging on the job. I've seen that, yeah, man, I've seen some shit. Fist fighting,
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, even with our colleagues now, I mean, some of them do crazy shit. Some of them fight, like Oscar, right? Like he gets in there and fights. I mean, that's kind of crazy, isn't it? That's kind of dumb in its own way.
I had a manager at the bar. My first bar I worked at, I had a manager. His name was Kevin. He had a broken hand and he had a cast on, and it was his dominant hand. And this is still like, you had credit cards for this is 2002, so obviously people were using credit cards, but the point I'm trying to make was cash was still a little bit more ubiquitous at the time. And some guy comes in, and because of what he did, I had to throw this fucking guy out. He had a broken hand, and he was working behind the bar. He was the lead bartender, but he has to work. So he's going to be fucking slow, right? The guy ordered like 2 beers, and it took Kevin a little bit to get the beers to the guy. You could tell he was like real fucking impatient about it. And finally, he's like, it'll be so amount of money. And no, sorry, the guy had used a card. He had used a card. Okay. Sorry, this is why, because he wrote on the tip something like 7 cents. And so Kevin went into the register and got 7 pennies and went over to the dude's table and then threw it in his fucking face. God. And was like, here's your fucking tip back. Yeah. And so that guy is irate, and now they're going at it. And so then I had to go in and fucking throw that guy out. Yeah, it was.
Dude,
it
was
fun.
As a server, when people would do stuff like that, there was a temptation, like a murderous temptation, to go chase them down in the parking lot and wait,
I had a guy one time, his bill was $59.50, and he gave me a card, and it was declined. And then he gave me another card, and that one went through, and then he left a tip of 50 cents on the card. God. And I was like, okay, all right. I hope you die, sir. You know what I'm saying? I hope you die. All right. There you go. That is it for our DMs from Donks. All right, so I think now we're doing fan subs. Let's roll right into it.
All right.
It's time for, well, you've got mail, viewers.
You've got mail.
Viewers.
All right, we got a few of these, Chuck.
All right.
2 from Wesley, 2 videos and a meme. Let's see this. I saw an adult movie that was really awesome. It was unusual, intense, what these people do for their lives and like the damage that they sustain. You know, I kind of appreciate it on those terms. So thank you.
Dicks everywhere, dicks.
I think I had mentioned I had seen a children's movie, the movie Arco. It's a French movie. It's really good. And then I was like, oh, but I'd also seen an adult movie. I didn't mean that kind of adult movie.
Glasses.
All right. Well, there's 2 of these, so we got another video.
This is Sparta! Oh. I mean the 300th live chat.
What's going on there?
I mean, I kind of get what's happening there, but here's my rule on this AI stuff. I don't mind if you guys use AI, but it's got to be clever. All right. We got a meme as well here from Wesley.
All right.
You know what?
Yeah.
I don't know who that is, except he works on this show. You know,
it's just me with a zong chilling.
Island. All right.
All right. That's from Wesley. Appreciate that. All right. Paul sent in a music video. He said, I didn't send the X-rated version as I might never gain entry to the U.S. ever again. Oh, God. Here we go.
Luke Thomas, Delta 8, liberal former Marine, 6-foot flex, Puma, salted drama queen, Slick Chuck, Mindenhall, hating Dana White, trick balls, Bonanza, rating Angela White, got a bong with a long, look Island, watch along, mine is a lonely girlfriend from the weekend gone, but I other the degenerate gambling MMA, packing in my bowl, it's Morning Kombat! Yeah, showtime, making moves in D.C.
I gotta say,
that was sick.
That was.
I kind of like that. Was AI, obviously, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was.
Except for the last photo was a legit one. It was just me and Nate Diaz when he was at a.
That was great. You got to send that one to BC. That's a great one. That's a great one. All right, that's a good job by Paul. All right, so John McClane. Wow, these guys have a lot of these. John McClane has a video and 2 memes. Let's see the video first. Here on this 4th day of May 2026. May the 4th be with you if you're a fucking Star Wars loser. If you're a fucking Star Wars loser. Star Wars loser. If you're a fucking loser. I am merely one half of your hosting duo, joined by my Connecticut brethren, fucking Star Wars loser. It is right. Chuck Mindenhall. What's up, Iceman?
You like that, huh?
You know what, man? I just want everyone to know that if you publicly tell people you like the Phantom Menace, I think less of you as a person.
I don't know if you made that clear.
Yeah, I see people just keep trying to defend it, and it's like, you know, you come across like a fucking idiot when you do this, right? All right, he's got 2 memes. Let's see these. Alcoholic perverted co-host or alcoholic perverted co-host. Oh, that's awesome. All right, and there's one more. Luke going 10 minutes without saying your mileage may vary. A little bit. A little bit. It's true. I do say it. Too much, probably. All right. Not bad. Not bad.
That's fine.
All right. Our friend Spencer has a meme. Mom, can we have Luke back on the JRE? Honey, we have Luke on JRE at home. The Luke back on JRE at home. That's a little unfair to Jimmy. Did you see the Jimmy show? He did a great job.
Yeah, but he's often compared to Rogan, so I get the joke.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
I'm not sure Joe's going to invite you back, Luke. I mean, you've been going hard at him. You've been going hard at him here.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going. I'm going on Dan Lebatard tomorrow to talk about him. So we'll see how that goes.
Nice, man.
All right, from Joseph. Joseph says, inspired by one of my favorite MK moments when the boys were stuck by the bathrooms at Mohegan. What is this, Mogadishu?
Oh, man.
Oh. Yeah, it looks like Bakara Market out there. Holy shit.
How young, Brian?
I was there this weekend. Great time. Newark Men's Station, spent the night.
Did you get the hantavirus?
I got a couple things.
Yeah. You get less of your wallet because it gets fucking knifed from you, and you get communicable diseases. Congrats. All right. This is a meme from Kevin S. the donk. Beware what waits in the dark.
That's good.
Ray Longo, Yuri Prochazka, Magomed Ankalaev. Why are we using Longo for this picture?
He didn't know what
he didn't know what a donk was. Yeah.
And Yuri is the ultimate donk. Is that the idea?
Yeah.
And
it
then
also says
Ankalaev is the other one.
And Ankalaev, yeah.
Very fine print. I think it says directed by me, Long Island Luke, and then it says written by Chuck Mindenhall.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That's pretty good. Oh, yeah, that's a great one, actually. I really enjoy this one. That's pretty good. All right, and then lastly, we've got a video from RJ. I mean,
Joseph A. Bank restroom locations is so good.
Oh, that's a good one.
All right, those are some pretty good ones, I have to say. If you've got one for us, morningkombat@gmail.com. Morningkombat@gmail.com. Chuck, you're getting rotated in now more often.
Yeah, I noticed that. Thank you for fighting for me to get involved here.
Yeah, everyone's got to get killed, including you.
Right.
All right, let's set this up. Chuck, what do you have going on the rest of the week? Are you going to California?
I'm not going to California. I know a lot of the uncrowned people. I think Ariel's actually working the show, right? Like he's part of the part of the podcast. So, but they're all heading out. I will have some material surrounding it, some columns. I'll be on the Crack Friday, and the normal stuff.
Long Island, what do you got for us, bud?
I'll have UFC Vegas 117, everyone's most anticipated card of the year. Bet breakdown. Gonna do prop quiz on Friday. Got the tournament finale, $100 on the line. New York Rick taking on Sean Sheehan, so looking forward to that. And then Saturday, I'm gonna do like a dual watch along, full cards, both baby, Netflix and UFC Apex. Let's go.
Yeah. I'm gonna definitely do a watch along for the MVP Netflix card. I'm gonna do a post fight show for that one. I don't know what Long Island. What is the timing looking like between the two?
So Apex prelims are 5 o'clock, main card 8. And then MVP is
9.
6 p.m. prelim, 9 p.m. main. So they're
they might overlap. Yeah,
they'll 100% overlap. UFC main event will.
No, I mean the main event. Sorry.
Oh no, I think we'll be good. I think we'll be out of the UFC by the co-main on Netflix.
Yeah,
that's
I hope.
Yeah.
I hope.
Yeah,
I think they'll delay it a little bit for that reason.
All right, so I'll definitely have some coverage of that this upcoming weekend. I appreciate everyone who tuned in on Saturday on my YouTube channel as well. Let's remind everyone we are on social. You can get those everywhere, different places for MK, for LT, for Chuck Mindenhall, and then of course for merch. Morningkombat.shop. We got the 3 designs this month. My favorite being the Whippets, but get them while you can at morningkombat.shop. All right. That is it. Great show here, everyone. Yeah. Really appreciate everyone tuning in today. Fun show for Long Island, for Chuck Mindenhall. I'm Luke Thomas. We'll see you guys on Friday. And until then, may all of your gains be loyal.